Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Discussions. We talk movies, music, and everything in between. Here once again with my only co-host this time.
Hey, I'm Daniel. he just gestured to me. I don't know how well that segue would have translated, just audio-wise.
But I'm Adrian, aka Move Mantis. Sorry, it's been a while since we've done this. It's been like 6 or 7 months. Just kind of having some just life. I guess just life getting in the way type shit. You know, can't record this day, can't record that day, and as you probably noticed, we're kind of out one co-host right now, and for right now, that's just gonna be how it is. It's nothing personal, it's nothing too crazy. It's just life, and for now, it's just gonna be me and Daniel from now on. Hunter might pop in sometimes. He might pop out sometimes, might be in some episodes, not going to be in a lot of other episodes. Again, nothing personal. We're not fighting. I don't hate him. We're not going to string him up by his rear or anything. It's just, he's busy. He's got a life. And, we don't. So, so yeah, this will be kind of the new norm. We'll try to make it work with just,
that term's fucking ruined for me now because
of the Twitter thing. Oh my god.
Anyways, before we get too far, I'm Daniel, aka rated DG-13. But, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's I think that came out this year. That's probably at the top of everyone's. I think that's leading the Oscars this year is the new norm. I don't even know who made it. Was it Elon Musk?
It was Elon Musk.
Promoted by him, at least.
I don't know it was promoted by him, but I cannot remember exactly the studio, whoever animated it. I'm sure he just sent it to some Chinese or Korean animators. Ironically, I'm sure those animators were not in America.
I don't know, man. Speculation aside, it looks like go animate.
Level, yeah, early
kind of
Flash, 2000s cartoons.
Yeah.
And they use AI music and stuff. Did they only make one episode?
I remember 2 episodes at least.
Was there
I don't know how long they want to string that along. It seems to be getting first of all, right off the bat, no one on any side. It was a Velma situation where just no one liked it.
I remember the first episode coming out, everyone just shitting on it.
Yeah, and even just oh, it's it's conservative, that's offensive. There were of course a bunch of left leaning channels talking about it just because of how pathetic it was. But as far as audience is concerned, it's I feel there are more left leaning people watching it just because it's so easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
And I've seen some quality YTPs made out of it. I've seen just so many good short editorials of what are you trying to accomplish with this, and what is it actually saying for what conservatives get out of entertainment at large, because it's I just love that argument of, oh man, why do things have to get political, why why do things have to change so suddenly, when really it's just they want a stream of their own opinions being spouted out.
And I think that's with any of these kind of I don't want to say political shows, just shows that are just super like that.
Yeah.
Like that. Or,
it definitely
if you ever seen Fairview, I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I'm familiar with it.
Or even Velma, if you're whether you're on the left or the right or whatever the fuck.
It just sucks when
it's just pandering. It's just we're right, our opinions are right, and we're gonna portray you. It's I've already portrayed you as the steaming coal train, and me as the slick FDR bullet train.
Yeah.
It's literally just those shows are. That's just, and it's just to me that's such a waste of energy and time and animation. Because animation takes a long time.
Well, not in this case, probably.
I guess probably not.
Couple hours,
definitely half that is probably AI. I mean, all the music's AI, so I mean, I'm sure half of the fucking animation is all AI.
But yeah, that kind of writing that realistically there isn't much to be offended by, because it's just you say a bunch of political words and you're not actually making any sort of statement. It's just your pronoun, this one's yours.
You ever seen those videos where it's this guy doing SpongeBob and Squidward impersonations, and they're just throwing out just a bunch of political jargon. I saw one about the election, and it's it's like they talk about like the red mirage and like how Trump's gonna do this and like Squidward's like a super liberal and like they just say all this fucking political jargon crap like bullshit and I'm just like at a certain point it's just like what the fuck are you talking about? like do you go out to the like real world? And I don't mean because those like videos are making fun of like those people, but like in terms of like what you're talking about, like the new norm or Velma or whatever the fuck. Who are you talking? What are you trying to do with this? What is the point of this besides just to like spew out what you believe in and say everybody who doesn't believe the exact way I believe what I believe in is stupid? And you know, like I said, I think just shit like that is just such a waste of time and energy. That's why I didn't even know there was a second episode.
Exactly.
Like, and shoot, I didn't even watch the first. I watched the first like minute of it. It was like I don't want to watch this.
Like,
and then I watched someone else watch it or so make fun of it or something.
Yeah, I mean, not that it's much of a commitment, but I did sit down and like watch both of them out of like morbid curiosity. And
I did see that they portray like Elon as like this buff, like good-looking, like
both
smart
him and
guy.
Trump like just like way. I don't want to be like nostalgia critic and say like computer analyze real life Adam Sandler compare him to this animated version of him. Yeah, he's fat. It's like I'm not gonna belittle. It's just kind of funny. What's even funnier than just like how they're drawn and how like slightly more flattering they kind of look than real life is the fact that like,
it's the view that they are put under in this show, like
those
like
lyrics
how they're framed
at the end of the song where it's like thank God for Elon Musk and his shitpost memes. It's just like what? I have to assume that he like I don't think someone independently like could have really like I don't know say something like that. It seems like a circle jerky thing to do because it is exclusive to Twitter. Like I don't know, like it's very hard for me to imagine someone like that. But it's possible.
Whole platform just to turn it into his unsuccessful platform that he had like 20 years ago. Just so he can be like, oh, see, I got it now. See, it wasn't a dumb idea. Like he's literally like a Richie Rich. He's like a 10-year-old like billionaire, and it's like insane the amount of just like influence and things he's gotten in the last 4 years. Like not gonna lie, I saw this clip of him in Iron Man 1 or Iron Man 2.
And
I didn't even know he was in that movie.
Yeah,
I wasn't even like consciously aware of Elon Musk until like I heard that he was going to buy Twitter. That was probably when I first heard about who he was. Like, okay, I might have like recognized his face, but I didn't know who he was. And now it's just like I cannot escape this guy. It's so I literally like deleted Twitter off my phone, and I only go to it on my computer. But even now that he's involved with Trump and all this like political stuff, it's just like I can't get away from this fucking guy. So like it just the amount of like ego has like tripled in size. It's like the Grinch with his heart, but like it's just this like ego, and it's just like quadrupled in size in the last 5 years. And him making just like a self-serving, kind of like you said, like circle jerky cartoon about himself and about his like political views isn't like too surprising to me. But it's just like, damn, it's like way worse than like you could probably ever imagine. Like I don't get who likes this. Who like genuinely likes this?
I mean, no one actually likes it. It's fun to make fun of, but like it's not going to be successful in the way that they wanted it to be.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't really need to be when you just pay for someone to animate your like fan fiction, basically.
Anyways, but I think before we get too far is like.
Well, anyways, it's just gonna be me and you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get this back on track, and I'm just gonna say like. At the first of all,
was that this year?
Yeah, new norm.
Was that this year? Was that really?
I think it was over the summer. Yeah.
Oh, really? God damn, that feels like a long time ago.
But I'm gonna take responsibility for that sidetracking. But we wanted to talk about speaking of things that came out this year.
Yeah.
Unless I fact check it and it turns out it was in fact last year, and I cut out this entire Elon Musk segment. First, I think we want to talk about music. And then move on to like the very few movies we've seen.
Yeah.
just
talk about what we've kind of consumed this year, just kind of in general. Like I said earlier, life gets in the way, and can't watch and listen to all that you want, all that you would like to listen to or watch. But I got a little pile of stuff, like 4 or 5 things, and I think that's enough for now. Hopefully I can catch up, at least with movies by the end of the year. I don't know. I always have trouble keeping up with music and albums and when people drop and when people don't drop. It's not like a movie where like a trailer comes out or something and you just know. Most of the time artists just like advertise it like a week or a month before. Or if you're a big artist like Beyonce, people will know, but like like Tyler, like that complete out of nowhere like
it was
album
like
drop
2
was
weeks
kinda
or
like,
something.
Yeah.
In advance he did like his first song teaser, and then
and then he's like, oh, it's gonna be coming out in 2 weeks. Like, oh, okay. I thought I was gonna have to wait another year for an album, but all right, let's go.
So do you want to like go back and forth or just kind of like?
I mean, I could start with since I just mentioned it, that Tyler album.
Good start, yeah.
Like I said, I was really surprised because he usually has a schedule. I was surprised when no album came out. Like, well, we got Call Me If You Get Lost, the estate sale. But that's more like a deluxe album, I guess. There were new songs on it.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same album, just with like 6 extra songs. But this one. What I always like about Tyler is that everything feels pretty distinct most of the time, especially these last 3. I personally did not like this album as much as other people, and as much as his last 3 albums, which were Call Me If You Get Lost, Igor, and then Flower Boy. Yeah. But I still think it was really, really solid. I know I was banging a lot of the tracks like Sticky or
Ratata.
Ratata, yeah.
Thought I Was Dead. Those are my like 2 banger favorites.
Yeah, I've been banging with Noid a lot. Just to me, I feel like I don't know, there wasn't much of a theme. Like I feel like there's been themes for his last couple albums. There wasn't too much of one, at least kind of not what I got from it. I don't know throughout the album.
If I agree with that. Like I think it was pretty like. First of all, I just love the contrast, like from like probably his most optimistic album yet, which was Call Me If You Get Lost, and like there were certainly some like more emotional tracks on there that were like really getting at like I have all this stuff, but it's like I still like can't seem to like find this one person, and that's been like a huge theme in all of his albums is that like his several phases and like how he channels that into his different characters. I really liked how like going off of Noid, and I'm just gonna steal this from Anthony Fantano, but like it is like the flip side of Call Me If You Get Lost, which is like the dark side of being famous, and it's like I've made it to this status, but with that comes a lot of baggage, creeps, and like it was kind of throwing me back to there was one song off of Wolf that was like he was like playing a character like one of his fans like bothering him at Six Flags, and like,
I think that's Colossus.
That feeds into the name, just like I'm this Colossus figure now, and like I'm just dealing with a bunch of these like kind of creeps, and even more so than just like the dark side of fame is like the type of people you meet, and like how many like different people he's like impacting by like it's a huge part of him that like he's kind of has this like aversion to actually like settling down. And it's like an interesting character study because like it's like it's him, and he isn't laying it on as thick as he does before, where like he's like, oh man, I'm like literally doing these like criminal things in order to like cope with this relationship that doesn't work out, or like in order to get somebody. It's like it feels like one of his like most real, like there's no kind of like bells and whistles about, or like any kind of separation you could use to be like, oh, but he's just exaggerating a bit. It's like, no, this is like it's getting into some like really not often talked about, and I may not listen to like every rap album that comes out like every year, but it's the kind of thing that I don't hear about too often, which is like impossible connections that I would say it was at least a different kind of vibe from like Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost. Even if it doesn't reach those heights, it's different enough to be like, okay, it doesn't feel like a watered down version of that, and that's what I was like.
And that's why I said that at the beginning. Like he always is trying something new, but simultaneously there are songs that sound similar. Like it sounds like a Tyler album, but he's trying like other things. Like if you showed me one of these songs and I didn't know anything about the album, like the album existed, I'd probably ask if this was like a Tyler track, because this the way he compromised the sounds he uses, kind of like Kanye. Kanye really likes those like electronic like and they're like similar tones and like musical notes that he uses a lot, not only throughout the album but just throughout his music. And it sounds like a Tyler album, but he is trying something new. I don't think all of it works all the way, and this is probably my least favorite of his last like 3-4 albums.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Since Flower Boy, honestly.
Yeah.
But even his like my least favorite album from him is still like another rapper's like best album.
Yeah. Probably.
Just because I say I don't like this as much as the last 3 doesn't mean I didn't like it. And like I said, I really liked like Noid and even Sticky, which I thought was a little too long, and like I didn't really like the I think it was Sexy Red. I didn't really like her feature on it. Her feature was but the other guy, like Glorilla, I really liked his feature, his bars and his lyrics, and then the one where he talks about his dad.
Oh, like him?
Yeah, like him. I thought that was really, really good and really reminded me of Answer from Wolf, which is kind of like that same vibe of like just talking about his father, just something he doesn't really talk a whole lot about.
Yeah, I would say like him is at least the most like emotionally potent. Like I really cannot listen to that often. And again, like it's nothing new for him. Like he's done like these super sad songs that I can just like play endlessly, but like I'm in no way saying that it's like bad by saying that. It's just like that doesn't happen to me very often. I usually love wallowing in like misery and stuff, but like so every now and then like there will be a song or artist that just like gets all their emotions out into like one condensed thing, and it's just like too much to handle. But yeah, Like Him was amazing. I would say like maybe my favorite non-banger, like Ratata or I Thought I Was Dead, I would say like is Take Your Mask Off. I've been rinsing that one a lot. I love how he does go through like all this huge like variety of people, and how it's like keeping that stuff down and suppressing what who you truly are, and like just people telling you that this part of you is just like something you have to like live with, submerged deep within, and like how that can affect you as a person, just like as opposed to just like letting it out. And there's a huge like shift in people's behavior whenever it's just like once you realize that these little things aren't like such a big deal, or if you do keep something like bottled up about like the way you feel about someone you're close to, it can just like ruin it anyway, so you might as well just like tell them about it, because it's like it's no different than like just living in misery with that one big secret anyway. Those were the two like heartfelt most emotional moments I got from it. But yeah, in saying that, like I kind of do get that more consistently through Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost and Flower Boy, just like throughout, as opposed to like these like two strong moments off of this album. But even that, like we said before, like it's just like it's not as amazing. That doesn't mean it's not good.
Not good,
it's not even like a mid album. It is.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just
I
like,
don't know. Yeah.
You have anything else to say on that?
No, pretty good. Not my favorite of his last couple, but still pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, I guess something else I've been listening to. I really liked Vampire Weekend's newest album, Only God Was Above Us. Beforehand, I had never been like a huge Vampire Weekend fan. I A-Punk was pretty much that's where it started and ended for me. Maybe This Life, but yeah, they were more like nostalgic favorites, more than like me actually being into the band. And then like all of a sudden like the ratings for this one were like through the roof, and I was just like, I like to catch up on like some nostalgic artists, just to see what they bring to the table now. Like Paramore last year, like they knocked it out of the park with This Is Why, and I like went headfirst into all of their stuff like completely like through 2023, even though I wasn't like super into them beforehand. And yeah, Vampire Weekend, like this newest album is just so amazing. Like I cannot
So what is it like, because I'm not too familiar. I know who they are, but what kind of music they make? What
I don't know like all the like minutia genre,
Yeah.
but like it's definitely an indie album that's like, and this is what we were talking about with the new norm, where it's like when they bring up political stuff in this album, they do have something like potent to say about it, and really poetic, and like just like, so it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you are, you can like listen to it, and it's not like singling out people. And you know, if you read into it, like, of course you are going to inevitably find like connections to like real life events, and yet it has like just these really heart-wrenching things to say about like immigration and like exploitation, people in power, and what it means to navigate life from day to day when you're like stuck in this just like never-ending loop of like trying to provide for yourself, and like what it means to be on the other side of the planet, where like all these, when you're hearing about all these like horrible things that are happening to people. And even though I can't quite say that I'm like a fan of like the band as a whole, it kind of like speaks volumes that like this album in particular like somehow like struck this kind of creative streak that I liked. The way it like wraps up is like this like 7-minute epic that's, you know, really ties it all together with hope. I would say my top 3 songs off of it are Classical, Connect, and Gen X Cops. One of my favorite lyrics would be untrue, unkind, and unnatural, that the cruel with time becomes classical. Even just like getting down to like they have these like saxophone and like these hard like super stretched out like synths whenever they go in on like some of the closers on these tracks. There's like this real like it communicates like the kind of aggression he's like putting out, even though it's not like one of the like harder hitting, like, you know, it's not like a rager album. It's just like whenever especially off of the opening track, Ice Cream Piano, there's like this just screeching synth at the very end that's like, it feels like a roller coaster that you're going down, and really gets you into like what this album is going to be. And then they have some nice slow ones like The Surfer that are a nice come down from these big tracks like Connect. There's just so much I love about this, and more I've been discovering the more I listen to it. So that one's like a strong recommend. Vampire Weekend's Only God Was Above Us.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to give that a listen. You really hyped it up there for me. Well, not gonna lie, the only other thing, at least current, that I've listened to this year, or even just recently, I don't think we talked about the first one. We did not talk about the second one. We might have, like, off recording, but both Vulture's albums from Kanye, Mr. Kanye West, and Mr. Ty Dolla $ign. Those both came out this year. I looked it up too, because like I wasn't sure if both of them came out this year, because him dropping 2 albums in a year is like literally like a miracle most of the time.
Not in this case.
Yeah, I was about to say. Unfortunately, in this case, it's more like what's the opposite of a miracle?
A curse, maybe.
A curse. And I don't know if he's just fallen off the like wagon, or just hit his head on the fucking idiot tree, like hit every branch on the way down, or what? Or maybe it's just Ty Dolla $ign's like producing. But man, these two, because we talked about a good one, and you know, both of these are just I don't want to be that guy, but I'll say, you know, not good. Yeah. I mean, I think if I had to choose one or the other, it would definitely be Vulture's one. I enjoyed a lot more, just because of the zaniness, and there actually is some good produced beats. Like if you just think of the beats, if you just take the beats, there are some actually like really good beats, and some good production on that one. But then Vultures 2 is just such like a generic void of like life. It's literally just feels like they made like a simple AI rap machine, and then they told it to generate 13 songs off of this like one riff, or like off of these like couple ideas, and that's like the album we got. Like, because at least the first one was fun. At least it had a bunch of wacky, stupid shit that he said, and a bunch of like dumb anti-Semitic like crap on it.
At least
that
the
you
first
could,
one
like,
had anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a weird
yeah.
thing to say, but
well, I'm just saying, like, it's like I get
something to talk
entertainment.
about.
Yeah, something.
Whereas
to talk
this one's
about,
like kind of more boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm obviously not like endorsing like anti-Semitism. I say it more as like okay, that's like crazy. Like I'm gonna laugh at that. That's like why would you say that?
That's what he's banking off.
Yeah, and at least it's something to talk about with that, you know. But the second one is so like one note, just like a nothing album. I've literally just like I just don't understand what was going through his brain, especially making both of them. I assumed he was making both of them at the same time, or at least somewhat within the same time period. I mean, they both came out the same year, so I would think they either worked on them at the same time or like very close to each other.
Yeah.
And it's not only that the first one is just more entertaining, it's just the second one is just so unbelievably boring like compared to the first one, that I just can't believe that they were both made not only at the same time but with the same two artists. Like it's like kind of crazy, like night and day. Like literally it's like he didn't take his pills for the first Vultures, and then the second one he did, right? It's like the first one's like wacky and out there and crazy and like insane, and like it's like the like the ramblings of like a manifesto or something, and then like the second one's just like generic trap rap, like, and it's just such like a whiplash. It's so odd. I mean, they're both terrible.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like the first one isn't any better than the second one. I'd say the second one's more terrible just because it's just boring. Because you know, I can get enjoyment out of something that's bad or just something like crazy, right? But like something that's just like boring or just nothing, just like plain yogurt. It's just like, okay, I'll eat this, but you know, I'm not really getting anything out of it. Like I'll try like a blended up like, you know, like toaster strudel or something like that, and I'll get some joy out of that. But like, if I'm just eating, you know, like I said, like plain yogurt or something,
at least that's
just
like a little bit good for you. Like,
yeah.
this is more like, I don't know, like week old egg.
Yeah. Like I'll eat it, but I mean,
might vomit, might not, but you know, it's some kind of
something.
nutrients.
Yeah.
If there's like
I
nothing
guess it's
else
something.
in
Yeah.
the entire pantheon of music to listen to.
Yeah. If I have to listen to this for reviewing reasons, I guess it's not like terrible, but like I'm not gonna rip my ears out or stop like halfway through. But like, it's just like I fall asleep listening to this shit. It's just so boring. And to me, that was the most like interesting part of both of those albums. Were like comparing them to each other, or just analyzing, or at least with Vultures 1, just analyzing the crazy whack ass like lyrics and bars that he made up. Yeah, it just doesn't sound like the same Kanye. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's the other side of that coin, where it's like, you know, we were talking about Tyler. It's, you know, it's always so distinct. This is just like, you know, is this even the same guy?
Yeah.
In Kanye's case, like, it's. I've been listening to the albums that we recommended last time about Kanye. Which is one of my least favorite episodes, by the way, because of just how unprofessional I am talking about music. But like re-listening to it, like,
I mean, I think the whole way we structured that could have been a lot better.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
We
I
just need to
some,
structure everything
just
a little bit better.
Yeah, well, it was one of even just like looking back at like my journal, it was one of the worst notes I had taken because I just had no idea how to approach it. But anyways, I had been listening to those albums like since then. And it was just like bumming me out because I was like, I can't believe like how happy this makes me feel just like listening to it like by itself, but knowing who he is now.
Yeah, how he
and
is
just
now.
how
Yeah.
like I wouldn't mind if it was like you know, people say I miss the old Kanye because it's, you know, it's that sound, but like there's so many artists I love that are complete like 180 or like off the charts of like where they started.
Tyler.
And even like, you know, given enough decades, like a bunch of older artists like David Bowie, where it's like that that final album I initially like didn't like when I first heard it because I was like 15, but now it's like one of my favorite albums, and it's just like, you know, you grow up and you realize that it doesn't have to like fall into like this one thing the artist for in order for it to be amazing, because like if they have something really raw to communicate, there's like and they they do bring a completely different angle to it, that it doesn't matter how different the sound is, as long as it's like something worthwhile. And in Kanye's case, it's just like, it's not just the message that he's like bringing, not that he was like a beacon or like a role model.
He wasn't a
of,
philanthropist.
like, back then it was just like he didn't have to be like this hero for me to just like still see this stark difference of like what are we doing anymore. Do you have anything else to say about that?
No.
I guess
and that's kind of sums up what I've really at least listened to this year. My whole New Year's resolution is really just to watch and listen and experience just a lot more, and hopefully I can carve out the time to do that.
Well, I guess if that's the last on your list, I'll just speed run the rest of mine.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Justice made a new album, their best in years. And I do enjoy Audio Video Disco, I think is what it's called, and man, I can't even remember their 2017 one. It was kind of forgettable, but like up till now they had been making enjoyable music, even if it wasn't reaching the heights of their first one. But man, this newest one, Hyperdrama, like again, it doesn't have that through line that I like in albums of like this theme that really like takes you on this journey. But as far as like song sequencing and just like taking you up to these like crazy heights of like dance tracks and like these really touching and more mellow songs, or even just like chill laid back ones like Moonlight Rendezvous, I was really proud of them for this one. And they just got some like great collaborators on there, like Tame Impala and Thundercat. It's like all these people that make so much sense for them, and I'm just again, I'm super happy that like it's they really feel like they're on the rise. They don't make music often, but like I'm always happy to listen to what they have to offer, and this one was their best in over a decade. I'm super happy with the way that one turned out. I also listened to kind of more middling stuff. I enjoyed the Billie Eilish record well enough. It was like
yeah. I did give that a listen, but I usually like to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically music when I've listened to it multiple times.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the first kind of listen to, nothing like exceptionally crazy to me. Then again, I did listen to it when it came out, and that was what was that, like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
So I do need to give it another listen, but I remember enjoying it the first time I listened to it.
Yeah, I would say after the couple few listens, I heard it. I think I'm confident enough saying that it's not bad. Nothing on the record is bad, but like I really loved her first one, and again, like it has nothing to do with like, man, like you've changed, man. Like it still feels like her. It's just like her first or big record, I guess, because like she had been working before, like what was it, 2019?
Fuck if I know.
That's like crazy, 5 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, that one brought such a like crazy new sound to the table. It's like she hasn't quite done that again since, and it's like everything she's made since then is like fine, and I'll still keep listening to her, because like you don't just like make something like When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, like on accident. I think she still has it in her.
Yeah, you also got to take into account most of the time when people make their first albums, it's a lot more worked on, because they have a lot longer time to work on it, opposed to after they release something or release their first album, they're kind of, I wouldn't say on a timetable, just more in like a rush crunch mode, trying to get another one out before people forget about them.
True. I would. It was like probably her proper. I think she had some like major singles before that, but like that was her first proper like huge like success.
Album.
And I think I can understand like how after that it's just like maybe make some more accessible stuff after that. Like, that I don't really blame her for, but that was decent. I heard both new Childish Gambino albums, Ada Vista and Bando Stone in the New World, whenever that movie is gonna come out.
And I listened to a little bit of that one, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say like
Nothing too. Again, I listened to like the first like 4 or 5 tracks. So.
Yeah. That Atavista was like, I guess, first like, talking about like, he just like called it the day. It was like 3/15/20 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which was this album Atavista released in 2020. He just like dropped it, no build up or anything. And then he was like, he announced that he was done with Childish Gambino. And even though I liked a few songs from it, I was like, well, that's kind of an unfortunate dud there. And with this new album, Atavista, it's literally like the completed, finished version of that. It's just like, I don't know how he dropped like just an unfinished album. Like maybe he was just like so done with the character of Childish Gambino that he was just like, just whatever I have left I'll just put out there and people can listen to it. And then for some reason like he just finished it this year, and I really liked the whole album overall. It didn't blow my mind. There are definitely like a couple amazing songs, and I'm sure like it really helped to like put in like the most effort for like the top songs that people liked from that initial release date. Like I'm so glad Littlefoot Bigfoot was like kind of like the biggest. Like that one got its own music video, and like it really came into fruition because that was like easily the best one from the initial release. And then Algorithm, that one's like my other top favorite from that album, which is just like, again, just so, it gets you into that like edgy, like, man, we're in the like, you best start believing in cyberpunk dystopias. You're
living in one.
That's like that as like a song. And it's super catchy, and I love the
just need more lights on buildings and self-driving taxis, and we're basically there. Yeah. Oh, and like augmentations, but they're working on that. Brain chips, man.
Oh yeah.
Get my brain chip tomorrow.
And just super, again, strong. Like, it's always easy to like talk about like, man, these phones, they're like disconnecting us, and they're everyone's getting mind control, man. But
what I hate seeing? You ever see that like black and white like animation?
It was like a Moby song or something, wasn't it?
Was it?
I don't remember.
I've only seen the animation,
but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I barely mentioned it, but like you can tell what I'm talking about. With all the other phones, like the kid, and he's like, "Oh, please look at me!" Everyone's looking at the phones, and this one bitch has like big titties, and she's like taking a picture of herself with her like duck lips, and they're like, "Oh man, I hate shit like that." And it's just isn't society fucked up, man? Yeah. Isn't this is a society, bro? Like, okay, like this is like at this point it's just like common knowledge.
Yeah.
So like this is like adding nothing. You're just like saying the sky is blue or saying like the moon is bright. Like this is, and it's the pretentiousness of it where you're where it comes off like, oh, aren't we saying something like prolific and what do you call it? What's the fucking word?
It's just comes off as pretentious.
Yeah.
But for Algorithm, like, it's just like, it's not like, oh, it doesn't have this air of like I'm smarter than people. It's like, no, I'm guilty of this too. And the whole hook is like, everybody move your body and do it. Here's something that's going to make you move and groove. It's like, yeah, people are into it for a reason. It's just, it kind of like puts you into that headspace of like, people enjoy this, but like also what is it doing to everyone? And it's just like, it's always, I always love it when songs like have this like banging, instrumental or like this super chipper sound, and like you look into it like even just a little bit, and it's like the most depressing like shit you've ever heard in your life. And I would say that's a successful version of what that embarrassing animated music video was supposed to be. And amazing closing track, Final Church. I've been just like rinsing that one so much, just like he's like going all in, screaming it, and that's just such an appropriate like closer that like leaves you with a it's nice, optimistic just like dance track. The whole album wasn't amazing, but I'm glad that it was this is the album that he meant to put out, completed, and it's I'm just so glad that wasn't the final word we heard all the way back in 2020. And then he was gonna,
you said he was gonna make a movie?
Just kind of out of nowhere, and then I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, one single for what he was going to make, but then he just dropped an entire new album that's pretty much the soundtrack to that movie.
To this movie, okay.
And I don't know if it's going to be like a musical or if like most of these songs are just going to kind of be on the background or, you know, just going to be playing, you know, just over.
Is there like a trailer or any? Or just,
yeah, there is a trailer.
Okay.
It came out like during the summertime, and it's called Bando Stone in the New World. It's about like this washed up celebrity who just like kind of wakes up and the apocalypse has started, and him and a little girl and this woman. I think those are the only people I've seen in the trailer. I don't know if they have like a cast beyond those main three, but it's like mostly like stark emptiness, where it's like, you know, you're kind of like going through the woods and like, but it's not like quite as run down where it's like everything's just kind of just started going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself when I first saw those like Planet of the Apes movies, like Dawn and Riot or War for the Apes, it was like, I was like, man, if this happened to me, I would be useless. And that's kind of the joke of this movie. It's like this like celebrity who like he has no idea like what he's doing, and he's like kind of useless, and like he fortunately like finds someone who is this like kind of like apocalyptic expert, or at least knows like how to tackle this, and he's just like kind of a nuisance. But you know, speaking about the album itself, there again, it was like a decent album. I really want to see these songs in context. There are still like huge like party tracks that I love, like I think it's called Got to Be, where it's like it starts out like, man, I don't know why I destroy myself every weekend. Like it's this like kind of solemn like opening, and then like immediately it's like it like slaps you in the face, like tonal whiplash of like a tempo change, and like it's this like just really exciting just like over the top like party track that feels like, you know, it feels like that should be like part of a chase scene in the movie. I would hope they, you know, have a really cool sequence for that song in particular. But yeah, the first single that dropped from it, Lithonia, that's like a really cool, like, it felt like kind of a 2000s like rock ballad. It was funny, like the teasers for Atavista right before it, he like just posted like on his community page and maybe on like Twitter, just single phrase, nobody gives a fuck, and everyone was like, oh no, is he like what's the matter, is he gonna like kill himself, or like like is he gonna delete all of his music, I don't know. And then like he deleted the 3:15:20 off of Spotify, and it was like, well, I guess nobody did give a fuck about that album, so that makes sense. But then like it was like, oh okay, this was like a teaser for his newest album, Lithonia, which was like, that was the hook of that song, Nobody Gives a Fuck. And yeah, that was like a super hard-hitting song. Everything else I don't like remember have a too large of an attachment towards. I've heard it a few times, but it's like, it's not you know, like in my top albums of the year, but I'm still glad that, you know, after so long he's released a bunch of new stuff. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. I really want to talk about it more right after I see the movie, but who knows, like, I mean, even like Tyler, the Creator, back when Wolf came out, he made that like fake teaser that was just like a short snippet of one of his songs, and they just pretended that was going to be a movie. And it was like, man, or like when I don't know if you remember when Kid Cudi and Kanye, they came out with their album, I think that was like 2019. Was it that cartoon?
Yeah, and they teased, oh, now we're gonna make a cartoon, you know, it's gonna be the teddy bear and the fucking Kid Cudi fox.
I remember
and
that.
They're like, oh, we're gonna make this, and then nothing. And now, like, Kanye just doesn't fuck with Cudi, and Cudi. Well, it's more Cudi doesn't fuck with Kanye. But I mean, it's understandable, because I mean, you know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but yeah, rappers just, I don't know. It's weird that it happened like more than twice even. It's like let's just pretend this is gonna be a movie, and then pretend there's like a good story that accompanies this soundtrack. And you know,
or even then, it's not even include rappers. How long, at least, because I've been a Gorillaz fan for so long.
Oh yeah, that's like their
how
whole
long
MO.
we've heard like, oh, they're gonna make a show, oh, they're gonna make a movie, oh, they're making a show, oh, they're gonna make a movie. Swear I've heard that like 4 or 5 fucking different times.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're definitely gonna do it this time, and then 2-3 years ago, nothing.
I don't know what
not
happens,
even
but...
like oh, we're working on it still. Just
yeah, I hope that comes into fruition, and if not, you know, you got a decent, you know, bunch of songs out of it anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta shout out this single, even though, like, again, just like the album is just like okay. From Hiatus Coyote, Love Heart Cheat Code is the name of the album. I've just been in love with Cinnamon Temple. It's like it is like I don't think it's an overstatement to say it feels like the modern Helter Skelter, like that level of like I'm just gonna ignore all traffic laws whenever I'm listening to this. I'm just like that level of excitement, and it's just like, man, I'm not gonna say I'm like mad or anything, but I'm just kind of bummed out that the rest of the album doesn't go nearly as hard as that song. The rest of it is like way more laid back, and out of nowhere they just have this like this huge like headbanger, and it's been one of like my favorite songs to come out of this year. Cinnamon Temple is just so like right out of the gate, like it just punches you with like that guitar riff and like just constantly like screaming at you, and has these such bizarre vocal like influctuations with like these weird lyrics, and like it's one of the most unique, just like out of nowhere like indie rock songs I've heard in such a long time, and I really like when like something's so just like a verse to like, you know, common like pop hits. I don't want to sound like a douchebag, but like it is just so out of the ordinary and bizarre, and like it takes you off guard the first time you listen to it, but I couldn't stop listening to it, and I'm giving huge props for that one. Getting into like another one of my favorite albums from this year, like as a whole, Remy Wolf, Big Ideas. Even just like coming off of Cinnamon Temple, this is what I want from pop. It doesn't feel the need to like do all these like crazy experimental things in order to like just be good. Like it is the best that from my taste, it's like this is exactly what I want from pop. It's very unique and distinct, and they're just like these really solid like love songs, like Toro, which is just like keeping your neighbors up in a hotel room from just like banging. It's like it sounds like such a dirty thing, but like the way she does it, it's like the sweetest like thing I've heard in my life. it's like crazy how well she pulls it off, and that like you don't feel like it's sleazy. It's just like when they're in love, they have sex, and it can be a sweet thing, and it's not like it doesn't have to be like this thing that's like always so like edgy or like dirty. It's like it's the brighter side of that.
Okay.
And Caroline Polachek also did a deluxe version of Desire I Want to Turn Into You, which just, you know, honorable mention since it's not like a whole album, but that's a great addition that she did. It sounds like these atoms of like you and the person you love just like being like pushed into each other as far as you possibly can, and it just being like this huge like magical experience. And finally, Jack White, his newest album. An album that just has no name pretty much and can only be called No Name.
It sounds like something he'd make.
Yeah, just like dropped it out of nowhere. I think he started like selling the record in stores before releasing it on Spotify. Just like he kind of wanted to like throw it back to like kind of what Kanye did with was it Yeezus or Ye?
The
one where he had like the clear CD.
That's Jesus.
Yeah, and he was trying to like call back to like that time where it's like you would just sell your music off the street and like see, you know, hope they would take off. It's
kind of like a Stephen King thing where you'd like change his name and just so I could like publish a book to see if it sold or not.
Yeah, it was that like same idea of like this record with like no name that has no album art or anything. It's just like it's just being sold in stores first, and he just wanted to see how far he could take that. I honestly got into Jack White before I did get into the White Stripes because I just love his solo stuff, his most recent like Boarding House Reach and Fear of Dawn. I always liked, you know, certain White Stripes songs, but like, you know, they're always like, and I got the idea was like it was like kind of garage rock, like super minimal guitar and drums, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, I liked his most recent albums because they were so crazy and experimental, and like when taking into account that it was like the guy from the White Stripes, it's like this is like, you know, a huge like departure from where he'd initially been.
I haven't listened to this one, but listen to the other one you mentioned.
Fear of Dawn.
No, the one before
Boarding House Reach.
Boarding House Reach, yeah, and kind of being a layman, not really knowing who he was, like by name, and then looking it up afterwards, it's a real surprise.
Yeah,
like being like, oh, this is the guy in the fucking white stripes.
That was my exact same experience.
I'm like, oh shit.
Properly listened to Boarding House Reach first, and then I was like, man, like turns out he's in a bunch of bands and like.
Oh damn. So like a male Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's just gets around and likes to see what sticks, and this is like a response to people who were like, man, I can't get into his new stuff because it's not like the White Stripes. It's like, trust me, I still got it, and like it's like super, it's much lower production at least compared to his Fear of Dawn and Boarding House Reach. There's like no computery like synths in it. It's like it's just a, no BS hard hitting rock record, and I've just super enjoyed that from him. And I would say it reaches those heights of those previous two records without like really compromising like quality. Like it's different, but it like compared to those two, but it's not a downgrade. It reaches those heights by doing something different. And I love the way that one came together. But I'd say that kind of wraps it up for music. Yeah,
at least for this year. I'm gonna do a lot more yapping on this next part though. When we talk about movies and but first I'd say we should probably talk about like our best and worst.
I don't know if that applies too hard because like I've just been watching
like garbage.
Exactly like you said about music, which was like I have not seen a lot of the stuff that I wanted to this year because I've just been watching so much more stuff from my watch list that like is like pre-2000s. I just wanted to like build up my like black and white stuff and like my foreign stuff to the point where it's like a lot of the cooler stuff I had heard about I just kind of falls to the wayside, and I just wind up watching stuff that's just like, oh well, I guess this is in the zeitgeist for a second, so I might as well.
I don't have a lot of things that I watched, but certain things I have a lot to say about those things.
Well, I'm definitely
I don't know. I just feel like, and maybe I'll change my tune when I watch more stuff or see what the Oscars got nominated for things. But I just feel like just fucking nothing came out this year. Like, not even that I didn't see anything, but it's just nothing. There's no like Everything Everywhere All at Once or like a Parasite or something like that, or even like a blockbuster. Like, I feel like there were like movies people went to go see.
I think there were blockbusters on like
just nothing
like purely by definition, but like stuff that like people loved as opposed to like things that people kind of felt they needed to see,
had want to go see because it's like a sequel or like the 20th movie in a fucking franchise. But like I said, I do have a lot to say, but not about the good stuff. So that's why I was gonna say we should probably gonna say what I liked the most this year, and it really only comes down to these three movies, because everything else I would just not either want to see again or really get any enjoyment out of seeing it again. So I'd say, like, for me personally, what my kind of top movies were that I've seen so far, posing like other movies that I haven't seen, is Long Legs. I don't know if you went to go see that.
No, I didn't see it yet.
It's a really good like thriller. It's the one with Nicolas Cage in it. He plays like a killer. The writing isn't the greatest, but where I think this movie really jumps out is the cinematography. If this doesn't either win an award or even get nominated for something, that'd be like insane, because I've never seen, besides something else I'm probably going to talk about, which is Dune. Like, this is one of the most beautiful looking movies I saw like all year. And some of those scenes really just stick with me. So Nicolas Cage plays this kind of satanic killer. There's a twist at the end. I obviously won't spoil it, but just know that he does a lot of like satanic stuff and like demonic things. And there's a lot of good shots where they show like demons or kind of like
some kind of presence,
or like a shape of like Satan. And like the way they frame it and the way they make it look just looks beautiful and looks like stunningly like amazing, even though it's so like oh, that's like fucking creepy. Like that looks scary, but that also looks like almost beautiful too. And even though it's a lot of like night shots, like at night or sunset or when like there's a lot of cloud coverage, not a whole lot of sun. They still get a lot of good like lighting. Like there's a lot of good like backdrops, and there's a specific scene near the end where they show like a shadow kind of look of a demon, and I don't know what they. I want to say it's not CGI, but if it's CGI, it's like one of the best looking like CGI things I've ever seen. Because it just like portrays this like kind of realness and this sense of dread just from this like shadow creature thing, and it's got these red eyes that just pop, opposed to its like mostly like black body, and it's just a great looking movie. Like I said, not the best written movie. It's really slow, but once it gets going, about I'd say like a fourth through the movie, like the first 30 minutes, it really like gets going, and it's not really a kind of a murder mystery because you already kind of see that it's Nicolas Cage, and I actually that's another thing I thought maybe could have been a little better. He's only really in like 10% of the movie. He has a couple of scenes and then one big scene near the end. I thought maybe you could have used a little bit more of him, and not the actress, because she actually had, I think, good scenes and good acting. More the writing for the main character isn't that strong, and that's why I say the writing isn't that strong. But the plot and I'm just like I said, blown away by the cinematography. It's such a beautiful movie, and if without Dune 2 coming out this year, I probably would say that's the most beautiful movie that I've seen this year. Still a good watch, especially if you like thrillers or any kind of like serial killer like movies. But it's also like a kind of religious, like not ghost, but I guess like demonic kind of like Conjuring type movie mixed with like a detective movie, and I thought it really handled both of those things very well. Beautiful movie, good performances. Could have had better writing. And then I think the only other one besides that I really liked, well, not the only other one, but the something I kind of put on the same token as that, like not the best writing, but really good cinematography and really good action. I don't know if you saw Monkey Man that came out.
Oh man, I forgot that came out this year, but I really wanted to see that.
What's his name?
Dev Patel.
Dev Patel. Yeah. That's his first feature. I'm really interested to see what he does after that. While this wasn't a groundbreaking best movie I've seen, like really puts the genre on its head or anything. It's really well done. The effects are phenomenal for a first movie, especially for a first movie. There's a sequence where he goes to this temple and he has this kind of religious, like psychedelic experience, and it's just portrayed and looks so good and so well, and I was so blown away. And it's crazy to think that both of these movies were made by smaller studios.
Especially Monkey Man, like that was like, I saw the trailer to it and it was like, oh, like he's a goddamn professional right off the bat. Like, I don't know.
He really learned a lot from being in fucking Slumdog Millionaire, because I get some of those vibes from this movie, especially with the action. The action is really well done and brutal, and doesn't take like too many like shaky cut 50 times. Like there's not too much of that.
He really like trained himself. Not to throw anyone else under the rug. Like he learned it all by himself. It's like just he went through the effort to actually be in as much of the stunts as possible.
Yeah, and make it, and not only that, but make it look good.
And that means something like coming off of I always think about those 90s, 80s movies about that 40-year-old guy who wants to be an action star, and he writes, directs, stars in it, and some Steven
Seagal.
He always shit. They always it's a self-insert that they're this hunk and all the babes like him. It's this is the good version of that, where he is the head of the project, but he's actually cool. Like that's what everyone is like striving to be when they make that kind of movie. And I'm just so excited to see it.
Yeah, you should give it a watch. Like I said, it's not gonna set your world on fire. It's just like a good time, a good entertaining movie. Like I said, I think the weakest part about it is the writing. I think the plot's a little generic, and I think there's a love interest, but she's like in it, but not really in it. But she's also kind of like I said, the main love interest, but like she barely gets any screen time or lines or anything to like build her up at all. And even his like motivation, you learn this in the beginning. It's a revenge movie, and his motivations are very also kind of generic and very like I've seen this in a million other movies, and it's not particularly well done here, but it works.
It's like serviceable enough to like, at least get your foot in the door as like a filmmaker.
Yeah, and I think like I said, the real star is the action and the cinematography and the effects. Yeah, good. Like it's like I said, not gonna set the world on fire, but a good like first feature. And I'm very interested to see what he does after this, because I think he can really build upon this and make something like really like smash out, like all-star good. Yeah, pretty good. I probably put those two movies on the same wavelength, same pedestal. Like good but not great. Unlike probably my number one movie this year. Again, I haven't seen everything, but so far it is Dune Part 2.
That's boring answer, but it's only because I haven't, and I'm literally saying that to myself. Like it's, I don't know, like
it's kind of by default, but there's probably better stuff like that came out. But I mean, not to say that Dune 2 isn't like great, because I think it's great, honestly. I think it's not to kind of over exaggerate, but it is kind of I think can be our generation's like Star Wars almost, or like kind of sci-fi trilogy like franchise.
Yeah, it feels like distinctly like this is the 20s epic sci-fi.
Yeah,
I don't think that belongs to like and certainly nothing from Marvel or like
No.
I think it's nice that like,
because I'll go back and watch this. I'm not just gonna watch clips on YouTube or something. Like I'd actually go back and watch this movie. Like I've seen this movie already like twice, and I would not mind watching it a third time.
Yeah,
just because all the setup you get in the first film like pays off like so much in the second one. Though I think it does go by a little fast, even though it's like a 2-hour like 40-50 minute movie, something like that. It does feel like at some points there's some pacing. You're like, okay, we're kind of running through this real quick. Or certain characters, like I thought the Austin Butler character, I forget. I'm bad with names. I'm bad with regular names, let alone like space. I know Paul because his name's fucking Paul.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna remember. Like I know his last name's Atreides, and like I think that's actually it. I literally don't know any of the other names. I know fucking the Austin Butler character, and then like Dave Bautista, and like the I don't want to say that. I was gonna say black guys, but the black house. I don't know. The bald people, the white bald people.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what their names were. But
you mean like the black and white?
Yeah, the black and white.
Not the black people.
No. I meant like those guys, the house. Because I was also gonna say black house, but
Harkonnens.
I think so.
I remember more terms from this weirdly than names.
That sounds.
I know
correct.
the Bene Gesserit. I know.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. I've seen this movie twice, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And it's not again. It's not because these movies don't portray it very well. It's just I'm an idiot. So I just get lost. I'm bad at names, and I'm not gonna be good with like space names. So like, this is like. But yeah, I don't think they gave. I think they could have given the Austin Butler character a little bit more screen time, for like set him up, maybe a little more. He has a couple good like, but all the scenes he is in are good. It's just he introduced in a cool way, then just in like 4 or 5 talking scenes, and then in that final battle scene at the end.
Yeah, he's like better case scenario.
And then he's
Darth
introduced
Maul,
like
where it's like he is in a bunch of the advertisements, but he's not in much of the movie. But when he is in the movie, he does at least have like a threatening presence as opposed to Darth Maul, which is like I don't even know.
My only thing is
anything
like,
about you.
He was like introduced like halfway through the movie.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like half his scenes are just or all of his scenes are in just like the second half of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like they could have built him up a little more. But like, I'm trying to think. Other than that, and a couple other places where I think the pacing kind of goes like, oh, okay, we're gonna kind of run through this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the whole like his mom like drinking the blue juice or whatever,
Yeah.
and then like she becomes crazy Oracle blue juice mom.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts spitting out, and then he like leaves and comes back, and she has like everybody under here like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Thought that could have been explored a little more, but I guess I can't complain too much because, like I said, it's like a 2-hour, 50-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like the acting, the writing, the cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, if this movie didn't exist, Longlegs would definitely be my favorite
Mhm.
looking movie of the year. But this is my favorite looking movie of the year just because, I don't know, Vinny Villeneuve just knows how to do sci-fi.
Yeah.
He knows how to make things feel familiar and alien,
Mm-hmm.
and also knows how to make shit seem like huge, like
Yeah.
monolithic, like the worms or the near the end when the king comes down with this like spaceship. It just
Mhm.
looks like fucking like
Yeah.
out of this world. Like holy shit, that would be like a king ship, like
Mhm.
in like the year 4000 or whatever.
Yeah,
And,
that was the same feeling I got from Blade Runner 2049. Like as soon as that was over, I was like, it made me want to look up what all those like futuristic devices did, like all of
Mhm.
them, and that like never
Mhm.
happens because like sci-fi is so like maybe the worst case of like kind of like the use of technology is like Valerian, where it's like, oh, he can just do anything and it doesn't matter, and it's like the most
Yeah.
cartoony stuff you've ever seen, and it's like, I get what you're going for. I know this is based off of a cartoon, but it's just like this isn't interesting to like watch function. Even
Mhm.
though it's like that movie's like stupid and insane. Like it's like what you expect from sci-fi, and like but when Denis Villeneuve does it, he knows exactly what kind of marks to hit when it comes to like how people use tools, how to explain
Mhm.
it, how much to say
Mhm.
about it, how much to not say about it, and
Yeah.
just like show what
Show
it's doing.
like visually,
Yeah.
like those. I love the water suits they use.
Yeah.
The sand people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like. I love the way they function and the way they explain not only that but their whole culture. Like
Mhm.
once they actually get to the big rock where they all live.
Yeah.
Like explaining how like they have these suits and like they pour the water in that big like pool of water, and this is like all of our like ancestors' water, and water is just treated as this so like
Mm-hmm.
like almost like a holy like thing to
Yeah.
like possess.
And how that like contrasts with where Paul Atreides came from, which was that he lived by the ocean like his whole life. He doesn't
Yeah.
get the value of it initially, like when he reaches the planet and like his whole world is turned upside down, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
he represents like the last of his line. That's like he's as precious as that like water is, kind of.
Yeah.
And I having said all that, it's just like, even though it's like I'm self-conscious about like, oh man, I didn't pick an interesting movie like everyone likes to do, and it's like that is my favorite too, because it's
Yeah.
like I just have to admit that I didn't see much, and like even just for what it is, I'm not going to pretend
Mhm.
like I didn't like really enjoy it. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't quite reach the heights of like Denis like my favorite from him,
Mhm.
which is like Blade Runner, which
Yeah.
I think it's more just like maybe just like what personally hits for me mixed with like preference of like setting. I don't know,
Mhm.
because like it's not like, oh, Blade Runner is like so much more exciting than like the first Dune movie. It's like
Mhm.
I think it's just like the relatability and how
Mhm.
like how much
And also
truth derives from like the depiction of that future versus
Yeah.
like this is like, I mean, this is cool, it's interesting.
And also, I would say like I did praise the writing, but the like structure is a little
Yeah.
generic. But you gotta understand that like Dune is like from like what the 70s,
60s or 70s,
and
yeah.
then like so many things have inspired it that
Mhm.
like, oh, I've seen this before in other stuff, but
Yeah.
this was what it comes from like originally,
Yeah.
which is like Dune, but they're just kind of just now getting around to like making
Mhm.
something out of it. But like you said, even though it's a bit of like a safe pick, I mean,
It's true. I mean,
yeah,
it's
true.
honest.
It blew me away with its direction and its cinematography, and just, like you said, the way they build the world and how everything operates,
Mhm.
and not only just I think it's the Fremens. I think that's what they're called,
Yeah.
or maybe the Flemons, or maybe I think that's checks Quest actually, but I don't know. Not only just them, but like the scenes with the like hood ladies,
the Bene Gesserits,
the or whatever. And how the kind of they operate and how they're just kind of like, but you know they're like the Catholic Church almost. They're like these kind of religious figures that don't control the government, but really they do. They have they're like one of the hugest influence on like the universe and like how all the planets work and the houses and all that stuff, and how they work with tandem with all the other houses, because that's all really explained in this one, opposed to the first one where it's all kind of just mentioned and like, oh, they're the kind of these ladies, or this kind of what they do. They have like psychic powers and they do this and that. But this movie, they really go into detail on how they affect everything else and their role in the larger space council or space kingdom or whatever. And all of it's just really well done. And for 2-hour 40-minute movie, I wasn't really bored all that much. It like really flew by, and really excited to see what he does with the third one. That kind of wraps it all. I'm assuming he's gonna end it in the third one.
I'm pretty sure he's directing the third one, but they want to do more after that, so I hope it's passed on to someone like, you know, at least someone who at least meets these standards, because like if you don't have the filmmaking, like there's at least room for improvement in like the writing, but that's only because the books are so weird that it's like you do just have to like translate this in such a funky way that like it can't be direct from the books, but it also, you know, it kind of, there's room for improvement just like with how they adapted it anyway. So I have no idea how it's going to turn out after he's done with it, if he is going to bring any sort of like conclusivity to it, because like even if nothing else, I think these two pair well together and are a satisfying pair, because like the first one is almost nothing but setup, and it's like interesting enough, but it's like nothing I get excited for. I'm just so happy that this is like nothing but payoff, pretty much, and it does exactly like live up to what I would have wanted from this, and ends in a place that like leaves you kind of like haunted, and like there's, you know, plenty more to explore, but at the same time, if nothing else happens, or if God forbid the rest of the installments in this franchise are, you know, bad, at least there is this worthwhile story that was told, and it has a conclusive enough ending that like it leaves you thinking, and it's like that's enough to like kind of quell like, okay, if you know, we'll see whether or not this gets more out of it. I have no idea what like a third standalone entry would be with like these characters, because it doesn't feel like it needs like a finale like in the same way like Star Wars did back then, but I don't know. I
mean, they definitely set it up for one, and kind of what you were saying, I'm not going to be totally dissatisfied if it's just something kind of just like okay, because I mean with that and like all the visions he's having, and his mom still being the queen or whatever the hell she's supposed to be, and like Anya Taylor-Joy baby is in there doing something, gonna get something going. I'm not gonna be too disappointed in whatever finale they decide to make, just because this movie was just, to me, was just so enjoyable, and kind of like what you said, just kind of payoffs and but like not just kind of giving us what we want, just like a natural extension from the first movie, and that's just so satisfying that I'm not gonna be too disappointed kind of with whatever they do next, even if it's bad. But like I said, definitely looking forward to that third one. Excited to see what they do with that.
So I guess
I don't know if you
had
anything else good that you wanted to talk about.
That's pretty much we talked about Furiosa. I still feel the same way. I appreciate it more than I like it. People are loving it, and I wish I did. Not trying to, you know, go against the grain. It's just like, you know, I mean, maybe if I, you know, saw the rest of the Mad Max movies, I get that the tone is like all over the place depending on depending on where you are. Like I know the first one is like, you know, way more mellow compared to the first or Fury Road. That's not the first Mad Max song, but it's like it's just like coming off of that, and like you know, it didn't even disappoint me really, because I'm not like the huge I'm not the biggest Mad Max fan, but I think I would get more out of it if I saw the rest and understood that like it's not always gonna like be at the energy level of like Fury Road. But that's pretty much the last like good movie. Well, I mean, I guess there are a couple more like decent ones, but like the further I go down the list of like things I saw this year, the worse it is going to get.
Yeah.
So before I guess we start getting into like complete, just
fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Because man, I feel like I said, I don't know. There's just nothing that, not too much besides the couple that I really want to watch, something like Memoir of a Snail or like The Substance.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that came out to me that really just got caught on fire, that really just got everybody's attention, that everybody, oh man, you gotta watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Besides maybe Dune.
Yeah, nothing like original for sure. But
Yeah,
that's, like,
and then but man, I just have a list of just fucking slop that just got pumped out this year. I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna say a couple of them. Keep a couple of them to talk like individually, but like Wicked, Gladiator 2, Beetlejuice, Venom 3, The Crow. I don't think anybody saw that. I'm like 90% sure a new Ghostbusters came out this year. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure a new Ghostbusters came out this year, right?
Yes, you're right. It was early. It was way earlier this year.
Okay, so another thing nobody saw, Quiet Place prequel. I think that came out, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Madam Web.
Oh my god, that was this year.
That was this year. That was February or March, I think.
Yeah.
Godzilla X Kong, Moana 2, Kung Fu Panda 4.
Did you say you saw all these or you didn't see?
No, I didn't see.
Okay, well I don't know where we're going through this.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying an example of like just how much, because I got a whole like 2-page thing of just how and I don't know. Maybe I can need to do this every year just to see the scope, but I just feel like this year is just mostly just crap, just slop, just shit that just got
nothing,
shit out and just
nothing
like, okay,
that's
here,
like
watch this.
Piquing your interest.
Yeah, just nothing that. Yeah, fucking like, what am I gonna go see? Despicable Me 50? That made like $10 billion. But okay, but what I was building up to was like the slop of the slop, the crap of the crap, the top bullshit, garbage. Just don't even bother with this shit. Like, definitely top 3 for me. Let me see which one is third. I guess fucking Joker. Like, it's the least horrible out of these 3 least horrible movies I've seen this year. And that's only because there's still a Joker one, which is pretty decent. Opposed to, like, these other 2, which just are standalones and just are fucking trash. Like, all alone.
I don't know
and
if that's much merit. But, yeah, good start, because I did see that one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I paid to go see it. I don't know if you
I saw it
had the displeasure of like paying to watch this in a theater.
I didn't pay myself. But I did go with my friend.
Okay, so you didn't pay for yourself. So
he was a little bit more excited than I was. He wasn't like a huge like Joker incel head. It's just he likes superhero stuff, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I went into it with an open mind. I was like, I know it's getting bad reviews, but if it's like cringy and funny, then I will have.
See, that's the mistake I had. I went because I saw this like opening day or day after opening day, so I didn't even see like
no. What a
any
cold splash
kind
of
of
water that must have been.
Like I heard like a couple of things that like, oh, this wasn't too good, but like I wasn't expecting much at all, really, honestly, out of a Joker sequel. But to go in and just like, if you enjoyed that first movie at all, and then just have like Todd Phillips like pull his pants down and just shit in your face, like it's just like, oh, okay, wow. Like I know not to support any of your fucking movies ever again, because goddamn, like
that
they really
serves us
just
right for giving him any credit for that first one.
Yeah, right.
Because it was built up. It was carried by Joaquin Phoenix. Without him, if it was a decent performance by anyone else, that movie wouldn't be half as well regarded as it was.
Yeah, no.
And this is coming from someone who does enjoy it like a decent amount. Like I
Yeah.
watched it again and I appreciated it even more after seeing this first one because like say what you will about like it's glorifying this like this like bad mindset is because it's crazy, all right?
Yeah.
That's the the warning that it's supposed to portray is that if you ignore these people and like just feed into this like whole like
these are people you're supposed to ignore.
Yeah, if you just like throw them to the wayside, eventually someone's gonna do something nuts, and it's because that happens in real life.
Yeah,
and that's not like you better watch out because I'll do this. It's just like no, you should pay more attention to people in your life and even people outside of it if you see someone in trouble. And again, like say what you will about it, how like how much moral merit there is, how deep it is. Like it's not the most crazy deep movie.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just Taxi Driver and King of Comedy just mixed together. It's
at the very least, compared to this new one, it has a proper build up and an exciting.
It has something. It has something.
It has something. It has an upward kind of like escalation of like events, and it's like it at least held my interest, and I can watch it and understand why people love it to the degree they do because it has a proper like satisfying conclusion. Yeah. Even if it is something that's like dark and obviously not like moral, that's because it's based off of a villainous character. Yeah. And the only reason it gets muddled is because they do insist that you sympathize with him to the degree they do that like maybe takes it a little bit too far as to like oh man, he's that's why so many people were scared it was going to start like a stupid Joker uprising. Yeah, because they went so hard into like the over the top like sad aspects of his life, but it at the very least it led somewhere satisfying, and you may not support what he does, but it's like you're glad that he kind of got like he's just like done with all the BS he has to put up with in his life, and like
I always thought it was more just for understanding, not necessarily to like it's not about glorifying. It's just to understand why
how
somebody
people like that get to do the things they do.
Why someone would do something like this. I mean, just watch like Taxi Driver, and someone like that in a position of isolation, and desperation gets pushed to something like that.
Whereas with this one,
with this one, it's just
the worst part about it, and it's
like he got a big ego from the first one, and it's just like, okay, I can do this again, like I can definitely do this again, and then like it's just him trying so hard to be profound and say something with a larger message, but in doing that, he retroactively like walks back and like I said, just literally shits on the first movie, like. I think, honestly, okay, and this is why I put it not as my worst, I feel like this maybe could have worked if there wasn't a Joker one. If there wasn't the first Joker movie to, like, kind of come back on, and he tried this initially, kind of what he was going for, I think it maybe could have worked a little better. Maybe not have that history or not have that ego, maybe, that he got from the first movie. It could have been something, but he just... to me, just tries so hard to like I said, to be kind of try to be profound, like fucking like writing, when it really is basically just like just walking back of what you already said.
And worse than that, it's like it's just half-baked ambition. Yeah. When they first announced that it was going to be a musical, I was one of the few people who was like in support of it purely because it was such a different idea for a superhero movie. That was like, yes, we need more movies, regardless of how this turned out. We need more movies who were willing to do something that crazy. And the worst part about it is that the movie itself just like, it doesn't have anywhere interesting to go. It's just...
And it does nothing with the musical aspect, I feel like. I feel like you could cut out literally every one of those singing scenes, and the movie would basically be the exact same movie.
It was like he just like Control F clown on Spotify and just like put in all the songs, all of them, whether or not like they were progressing anything. Yeah, they were all just like
I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but the couple, the handful I've seen and that I like, the music always it is portraying their emotions, but it always advances the plot or
Yeah.
advances those characters in some kind of way.
But there's
It-
nothing.
it's
that
nothing
these
like that. It's like,
songs-
oh, I'm Joker, I'm sad, so I'm gonna sing I'm So Lonely by like Akon or something. And he does that for like 3 or 4
he
minutes,
just
and
does
then
like
it just
the whole
goes back.
song
Yeah.
every single time.
And it just goes back to just doing whatever, and it doesn't like. And that's what I'm saying. You could literally cut out every single singing part, and it would literally be not only a shorter movie, but like the same exact movie, and I would get the same exact thing from it.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm more annoyed by the music parts just because of how just inconsequential they
Yeah.
are. They just don't do anything. I mean, they look cool.
Yeah, even if-
that's what I'll give it. Like those sequences look cool, and
Uh-huh.
they're filmed really great. I really like
But
the
only by themselves, like
Yeah.
independently.
like the wedding one where it's her. I forget. I don't even remember what song they're singing. They're singing some like I think it's the mountain song,
Oh yeah.
and they have this wedding part where they have this whole like gala, and like she's got her bridesmaids. She's got that little short guy from like this first one, and they're doing this whole like wedding sequence, and that looks beautiful. That looks great. Or even the one where they're in like the Murray set and they're talking to each other, and they have the big Joker and Harley sign, and that looks great. It looks great.
Yeah.
But it just does nothing for the movie but burn time.
Yeah, exactly.
And adds nothing to these characters.
And worse yet, outside of that, the courtroom drama is just it's just recapping the first one. You get no new insight from that first movie with this trial. There's no and like even worse than that is that like the setup for it is so fucked from the beginning that at no point did I think it was going to turn out like well for him. Like not like there's like zero indication that any of this is going to like go like the way like first of all it's not going to work like legally. Like he's just screwed. He just is completely screwed. That so there's no like hook as to, like, oh man, is there any chance he's going to get out of this? Is there it's just like the whole like dual identity thing is just like that just kind of seems like something they pulled out of their ass for this one and not something that was like in the first one. And that's it's
and that's
it's
what
the
I
kind
feel
of
like
stuff that a lawyer
lot of this
would do, but like it just doesn't feel like it's actually it doesn't feel like it's relevant or building on any kind of interesting idea. It's just like it's exactly like the musicals, which are the music in this movie, which is just like none of this is like you're not giving me any new information. You're just doing the exact same thing over and over again.
You're just recapping the movie and explaining why, if you liked it or if you had some kind of more stronger like interpretation of it, why you're wrong. And oh, actually it's this. And what they present is just oh fuck it, like just spoilers. Fucking it's like he's like a symbol, right? Supposed to be like this. Oh, he's not the Joker. Anybody can be the Joker. Oh, who knew the Joker could be a symbol? Oh man, that's crazy, man. I'm so smart. I'm sure that's what he thought. I'm sure that's what fucking Todd Phillips thought when he wrote that shit down. Like, and now the other, because the ending is, that random crazy guy who we've seen like maybe twice. Like kills Joaquin Phoenix at the end of the fucking movie, and now he's just like, and now he's the Joker. Oh baby, let's go.
Like it's going anywhere. Like putting in Harvey Dent adds anything to like I can't wait to see what they do. It's like of course they're not gonna do anything.
They're not doing it. Like it's not, and it's just like that's what I mean. That if maybe they tried this first, it could have worked a little better. Well,
first of all, like not only that, but this needed to be like 40 minutes shorter to have a fighting chance of being interesting. Because there's a little bit of stuff that obviously hearing about beforehand sounded interesting, but they just don't take it anywhere interesting. And if it were just like an hour and 40 minutes, like it would have been like, okay, that was like, kind of like a misguided, like weird direction to take this, but like an hour and 40 minute like musical with like a little bit of the courtroom stuff, and then like they get more into like his fans breaking him out, like like it doesn't have to be like this huge action packed thing. You can still have this like this different enough thing from like what was brought to the superhero genre. You can still have like this story kind of like workshopped and way shorter and have something like decently interesting. But the fact that it just goes like it's absolutely nowhere, and like even before like the really bad stuff, it just like any credit I can give it is just like it just overstays its welcome, and like doesn't add anything, and it's just so, it's so frustrating to watch. And by the end, I was like I wasn't even like disappointed with like his death. Like, oh, isn't that crazy for an art movie? It's like I was just I honest to God was so relieved that the movie was over. I've never seen like you know those like sappy like inspirational movies that like you watch and you're like, I'm gonna be a better person now because I learned this lesson.
Or like, you ever see those reels on Instagram where it's like work out, stop smoking, stop drinking.
This
focus.
was like the exact like this was the weirdest place I could have ever gotten that feeling that they intend from those like movies, where it's like I got out of the theater and I was just like I was legitimately happy. It wasn't even like, because like usually when I see like a bad superhero movie like Black Adam, I'm just like dead, and like the rest when I leave, I'm just like, why did I think I was gonna get anything different from that? This was like, holy crap, I'm just so happy that this isn't my life anymore. Like it's over. It felt like an eternity. And I was just so I was just so happy like the rest of the day somehow just happy that it was over.
That you watched it and that like it ended.
Yeah, that there was an
that one, it didn't keep going, because that's what really,
because it felt like it kept going.
That's what the song like the song stuff really felt like a lot. It just kept going and going. I'm like, why are they singing? And like, stop singing. like literally me halfway through the movie I'm just like, why are you singing? Stop singing. Like, it's just stop. Like, this does nothing. Like, this is just like, can I speed past, like, I've never checked my phone during, because I usually like to be pretty courteous.
Yeah.
I never checked my phone during a movie, but like this one I just kept, I'm like, god damn. And like just checking the time and being like, where is this fucking going? But that's what I mean. It's like, I could have been more invested in what they were trying to do if, like, with the whole like, oh, the Joker's like a symbol and this he's an idea. Like, if the first movie wasn't just so hitched to not only Joaquin Phoenix but like Arthur the character, like if it wasn't just so hitched to his story and like how he became the Joker, like it just so ingrained into him, and they didn't do enough to like present the Joker to. And it's funny too. I watched a clip from like the first one, like the day after I watched that movie, and literally when he's talking to Murray, he goes, "Oh, you did this to be a symbol, right?" And he's just like, "Oh no," like, and I get the fact that some things are bigger than you, and people make it to be that way, or people make it to be this like kind of symbolic thing. But you know, to me, the movie always kind of what you said, just like hitched on Joaquin Phoenix and that character to like basically make a sequel and be like, nah, that's not how it is. This is how it is. And not only not do anything to really bring that up, not bring it up, but like, I don't know, convey it in like a meaningful like artistic way. It's just kind of like, oh, you're wrong, Joker, and actually he's the Joker now. And it just comes out to me, just kind of comes out the last 30 minutes, and you're just scratching your head. Then like, why was Lady Gaga in this for? Why was she in it half the time singing? What was the point?
That was also like disappointing, because like I was like, it was like halfway through the movie when I realized she really hasn't done much at all.
Yeah,
like she just kind of like keeps looking at him during the trial. She's not really taking his character into an interesting direction. She's not really like heading the relationship in a way where it's like, oh, she's the one who's like really controlling. It's like they kind of suggest that, but she like realistically she doesn't actually do much. And at no point,
well, like really like encourage him, and then oh man, dude.
At no point did I really buy their relationship. Like when she like immediately like falls in love with him, like and when they break up, it's like I don't actually care about where you guys were in your relationship. Like, I mean, just, you know, say what you will. I know we're trying to do like this, like people don't really want to properly like adapt the like original Harley Quinn storyline, because like it works better in animation, because it's like there's that comic booky like disconnection where it's like, okay, I could buy why like this level-headed psychiatrist could like fall for someone as nuts as the Joker. And like you get enough in that original story where it's like, okay, this is like, you know, like it's not empowering to women, and that's not the point of her character initially. And I see why that wouldn't be like done nowadays, despite like Suicide Squad like just breezing it over.
Yeah.
Which, and also in that case also is not very believable.
Yeah.
It's just like in a cartoon that's like, it's like interesting enough, and like, you know, it's more importantly, it's just like it has a lighter tone, so it's like funny enough to be like, it just like that's something compelling, and like that episode just hasn't been shown up by like any other like Harley Quinn media.
Yeah.
You can still like have her like be empowered. There's like, again, it's just like in this movie, it's just a suggestion that she's like, oh, I have all these like ulterior motives, and I only care about like the Joker as the idea of you than like, you know, you as a person. It's like, I could, you know, I've literally seen this in other movies, and it's been heartbreaking where like someone falls in love with someone that they want them to be, and not like the person that they are.
Yeah.
But it's just not really well communicated. It's just like, I have these ideas, but they're just kind of like gonna stay as ideas, and I'm not gonna really write this out. I'm just gonna like drag it out, and then you know, if I suggest this, then maybe you'll just like get an emotional reaction about it.
What really like scorned it for me definitely was the sex scene. Like when
Which
he's
one?
in like he's in like the he's in like the punishment ward, which I don't. That's also like, how the fuck does she get?
She says like in one line, she's like a rich kid. She's like a rich kid and not actually like incarcerated. She's just like likes hanging out at the asylum.
Yeah, she like checked herself in to meet Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
and then like somehow got to the like isolation ward because she fucking bribed or blew a guard or something. And then they have this very awkward, like, I guess it was supposed to be like this, I would assume, maybe. Just awkward, like, I don't mind sex scenes in movies. I don't care. I'm a fucking adult. But this was just like, I don't want to see this. The Joker should not be having sex. This is so weird. And it's just so, like, I think you're supposed to get this sense of, like, oh, they love each other, but I just saw just, like, two actors just fumbling to like communicate any kind of love or just compassion with each other, and it was just like kind of like you said, the relationship was not believable. I saw her leaving him like from a fucking mile away,
and it's like, who cares?
It's just like, it's like,
obviously
I barely know anything about this bitch,
and
like I could just obviously tell she's like just kind of using him for basically like clout, and like half the movie, just like you said, just reiterating what happened in the first one, and then the ending's just saying like, oh wait, the Joker's a symbol. The Joker isn't all of us. There's a Joker in you. And pretty garbage.
I think I definitely told you this before, but just for the audience, the best part of that movie was I'm just gonna say first of all, I go in there, almost completely empty, me and my friend. Like 10 minutes in, old guy walks in with, I guess, his granddaughter or niece, and they're just hanging out behind us, and I'm just watching this weird shit, and I'm like, this is really weird to be seeing in a theater, this empty, with this person like so close behind me. Just knowing that they're there, because there were kids that came to the first Joker, and it was less weird because it was just like, it was a packed theater, so I could just ignore that easier. They weren't like loud or anything. But once the grape scene happens, if you know what I mean,
you know what, I completely blocked that out of my mind, and didn't even like this entire discussion didn't even remember that even happened until you just said that.
Something that like
it's supposed to be this impactful thing that just like I just completely forgot about it, and like I had to question my for the sake of censorship. I literally leaned over the friend I was talking to. I'm like, did he just get raped? Is that what just happened? Is that what that was supposed to be? And then and then his friend gets killed. He's like, oh man. Oh no! It's just like, dude, you've murdered 3-4 people, one on live national television, and then been to car crashes and gotten beat. This is it. This is the thing that's just like, I'm not the Joker. Oh, I'm not the Joker anymore. It's just like,
what is that even saying? You got the evil graped out of him. What does that mean? What are you trying to say?
It was so terrible. I just didn't want to be the Joker anymore, I guess.
Anyways, after that scene happened,
Yeah.
dead silence for like 5 seconds, and the girl just goes, "Bruh."
No, it's so funny. Like,
And that was the
is it
silver
just the
lining
area
of
we live
that,
in? Literally, like when I went to
theater
go
experience.
when I went to go see it, this fucking guy not only comes in after the movie like already started, like 10 minutes after, like talking to somebody on the phone with his and he's like with his wife.
Uh-huh.
Not only comes with his wife, who looks like she just stepped out of the house, like and just like or just literally just like stepped out of the shower. He also brought like an infant child with him, like an infant, like just like an infant child, like a literal like baby,
Uh-huh.
and just like brings it in with him, sits down, and immediately like turns on his flashlight, and then like it's not even like a quick flash, right? Like he's taking a picture. It's literally like I don't know. I can't even understand what this guy was trying to do. He holds his phone up straight and turns the flashlight on, and just keeps it there for at least like a minute, and then turns it off. And then, like, a couple minutes later, does the exact same thing. And then I'm just like, what is this guy doing? And, like, I was, like, this close to, like, turning around and saying, like, hey, dude, turn your fucking flashlight off. Because he was, like, the same thing, like, an empty theater. I have, like, maybe, like, like 5 or 6 people 2 rows in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he's the only guy, and he decided to, like, sit right behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, halfway through the movie, his baby starts crying, and he, like, lifts up the baby, and I'm just like, why are you bringing it? You don't have relatives or friends or even, like, a fucking neighborhood teenager you can pay $5 to, like, watch your kid for, like, 2 hours? Like, really? And, like, that, of course, didn't help, you know, watching the movie, but I think even if, you know, those guys weren't there, just, I mean, I would have the same exact feelings of this, like, terrible,
Yeah.
no good, very bad movie. And that's only like the third worst movie I've seen.
Oh my
so
god.
yeah, pretty bad.
I kind of had these more mid movies to talk about.
I mean,
before, if we want to build it up a little bit, I guess we can like switch back and forth.
Yeah.
I
just didn't see a whole lot.
Yeah.
I saw like 7 movies, and those were I said the top 3, and now I'm saying like the bottom 3.
Yeah. So I needed a pick me up after Joker,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, Pharrell Williams has a documentary made about him. That's
it's all like in
animated,
Lego, right?
Animated with Lego, or at least just it's in CG, but it's like.
Why did I think that
portrayed
movie
by Lego.
didn't come out? I don't know why I thought that didn't come out.
But that came out
Did it come out?
right after Joker, and I asked my friend, because we're also like fans of the Lego movies. I was like, "Fuck it, I need to wash this taste out of my mouth." And it's a perfectly safe puff piece documentary that is held up by the fact that it is animated with Lego. There's a lot of just like pointing at the screen like, oh, look at this artist in Lego. That's funny. It's super brisk watch. It was it gave me insight on his life. It wasn't like a particularly interesting story, but I prefer this over the dozens of like biopics we've been getting. At least this is like, it's just like him talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like pretending to have this like grand narrative that's like, it really is just like, here's my experiences, what it was like getting into the industry at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, because Pharrell Williams has been like producing since like the early mid '90s.
Yeah, he's had his fingers in so
like,
many
different. Not only
songs
with like hip hop,
artists.
but like
tons of different
tons
artists.
and tons of different artists. Kind of like Jay-Z, just not only writing that, but writing stuff for like Linkin Park or Katy Perry or something like that. Just like all different kinds of genres. Just like this big producer who's worked with like almost every artist.
And yeah, it was like, if this were like a regular documentary, I literally never would have seen it. I'm not a huge Pharrell Williams fan just by himself, but he has interacted with enough artists that I do love to where it was like, it was still engaging on that level of just like seeing how someone like him gets pinballed from like all over the place, and how much he does legitimately like well communicate his love for music, even if I don't like love his music. He's like, the way he describes it is very like honest and sincere, and like I think it was worth portraying it in this way, and I hope more documentaries do this, because like I love animated documentaries. We don't get them too often, but like Tower that came out in 2016, which was like rotoscoped, and Feels Good Man, which is like animated half the time, and it's using the like Pepe the Frog comics and like bringing those to life. And it's like, I love documentaries that do that, and this was another. It wasn't as good as like, those two, but it was. I usually like looking for animated documentaries because it's like mixing the down to earth, like, just like straightforward interviews with these really imaginative ways to depict them. I always like, and I'm a Lego fan, so it's like, it was worth watching for that reason. Not a huge like, recommend to like everyone, like, oh man, everyone's just gonna love this. It's like, it's perfectly fine, but it was serviceable for what it was. If you're at all interested in like anyone he's collaborated with, I think you'll get something out of this. And yeah, if you like documentaries at all or just into music, it was cool. And it leans more into like kid stuff, so it's like there's a bunch of artists that I kind of wish he didn't glaze over, like like Tyler the Creator has a cameo in it, but like none of the music is touched upon. And it's like, you've made like 3 or 4 songs with him, right?
Yeah.
And it's just because like it's a kids documentary. Like they literally make a joke about it, like censoring a bunch of like stuff Snoop Dogg says, because like that's they're trying to like make it work because like everyone knows he collaborated with Snoop Dogg. It's kind of easier to sweep Tyler under the rug, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was perfectly fine. I guess you can say your next worst of this year. Just pick one.
Yeah. No, I was just making sure. Yeah, it's the Borderlands movie. Especially as of a fan for a pretty decent time, at least since Borderlands 2 came out. That was like what, 2013, 2014. This was pretty atrocious. That's why I give at least Joker the third, because at least there's a good Joker movie. At least an okay one, depending on how you see it. But this was just like garbage. This was just like not understanding the source material at all, kind of chopping up the first 2 games and just kind of just like squeezing them all together, getting simultaneously the worst actors to play the least qualified roles that to play in.
Yeah. Like
getting Kevin Hart to play, a big, strong, like military, like black guy, and they give that to fucking Kevin Hart, or having like a swashbuckling like young treasure hunter like woman to like fucking 50-year-old Cate Blanchett. I love Cate Blanchett. Yeah. I love her as an actor. She's a great actor. I saw Tar last year and thought that was probably the most underrated movie of that year.
Just imagine Patrick Stewart as like Spider-Man.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say more like Patrick Stewart as like Agent 47, like from Hitman.
Yeah.
If you ever played those games?
Just like barely like just, similar. It's like, that's good.
It's like no.
Here's $1 million.
And it's just like making jokes that aren't funny. It's like one of those early 2000s like DreamWorks movies where it's just like a lot of just like pop culture references, being oh, this is crazy, isn't it? And then like. I didn't get the hate for what's her name again? The woman from the Halloween movies.
Julia Drop.
No.
It's not Julie Andrews.
No.
Why am I blanking on this?
I'm also blanking on this.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sheesh. Yeah. I didn't understand all the hate up until now, until I watched that movie, and then I watched her in it, and she's just the most annoying. Like everything she says like drills a little hole in my brain, and just like all this like I'm slowly losing brain cells listening to all these characters just like talk, because it's just such like goofy, just like unnatural, like this is AI generated, like a producer literally like sat over a writer's fucking shoulder and said, oh no, don't write that, write this, like that's what it just feels, so just like.
But then again, like Eli Roth, he's like Brett Ratner levels. At this point in his career, he might have been interesting like earlier on, but now
and even just Jack Black. Like I like Jack Black and think he could just say like he could literally read like like
Hitler's
like,
Manifesto.
Yeah, or like Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I'd laugh.
Yeah.
But like he's just he's also just so insufferable.
I'm so bummed out with
movie.
like where he's at now. Like for some reason, like he's just been like spammed. Like I feel like
because he's
it wasn't always like this.
because he's been in the zeitgeist and like the celebrity
for such a long time
since like early 2000s. But it's just really the last like
maybe he just
3 or 4 years
maybe he just won't say no to anything anymore.
Yeah,
and that's why
maybe.
we're just seeing him more often.
Yeah,
like I don't know what the deal is, but like I used to.
It was those Five Nights at Freddy videos, man. It's him mentioning Five Nights at Freddy's and like dancing and singing it. I think that's what really ruined him. And it rotted his brain into just the stem. Because oh my god,
I think
I don't even think I even smiled at one of the jokes in this fucking movie, dude. Like I'm serious. There's just so many jokes, and it just misses the point of not only playing those games but the writing in those original first 2 games. I'm not gonna mention the third one, and just like the cleverness of like everything of both like balancing action and comedy, and this just fails it fails as a movie, it fails as an adaptation, it fails in like acting and writing and cinematography. Nothing's good to look at. Everything looks like shit. Everything just looks, every action scene just looks like a CGI like fucking mess, and like just fucking things exploding and like boring desert like backgrounds, and again these characters just won't stop talking and won't stop making jokes and just references, and it's just like it's like if they combined, like I'm trying to think of another good video game. It's like if they made a GTA movie and then just combined it with like Dougal. It's like they're getting all these characters just to be funny and be out there, but not really giving them any kind of actual character, taking really much. It's literally like they skinned the game and they wrote, this was a different script, this was something different. And then they're like, wait, we just got the Borderlands IP. Oh man, let's just skin this to be Borderlands, and then change a couple other plot elements and stuff. They're like, okay, it's Borderlands now, and it's really just this disgusting like Buffalo Bill wearing like the Borderlands skin. So, I don't know what this is.
So you're referring to when you say Dougal, like the way the Magic Roundabout was like hijacked, like for America. Is that what you were saying?
I say it more as if they're just spewing references and just to get people to be relatable and be funny.
Because
I mean it more in like the dialogue where like every other word is like a joke, or every other word is like, oh man, very Pink Floyd, and like something stupid like that. Just like this lowbrow, like
it's just funny that you happen to bring up Dougal because that's the way you're describing it sounds like how Dougal came to be. It was a completely different movie.
Yeah, it's almost like these Hollywood producers.
They literally infiltrated that movie and dubbed it over with American actors.
Yeah.
In order to sell it because they thought it was like too weird.
The only thing with this, it wasn't like a previous like movie. It wasn't like
just,
it was a game that they just filtered through these producers. Like, oh, what do people like? Well, they like Kevin Hart. They think he's funny. They like short jokes and like barf jokes and fart. We're gonna write a bunch of that shit. Fucking put that in there. So yeah, pretty terrible. Especially if you're a fan of the games, don't watch this fucking movie. Actually, you know what? Buy every copy in the store and then like burn them, just so like just never ever another copy you can get ever, because no one should suffer anymore. No one needs to suffer through this shit.
And no one did. It didn't make any money.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank God. I was the only. Well, I say suckers, but like I watched it for free on my computer. I was just morbidly curious, and curiosity killed the cat there. So yeah, horrible, no good, very bad. Joker made me mad. This made me want to pluck my eyes out.
I guess
this made me not want to buy Borderlands 4.
I guess going back to something I saw that was like way more mid than the absolute worst, but definitely something I didn't like. Again, never would have seen it if I didn't have friends already who were interested in it, which is perfectly fine. But I got absolutely nothing out of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
It's not surprising.
I think we have a little bit. You know, I've changed my opinion differently. I think I talked to you about it like right after I saw it, and I definitely, my like for it has definitely gone down a lot. I still enjoy it, but definitely not as much as I did initially when I watched it. And I think a lot of that does have to come with, I think we're finally getting into this comic book fatigue.
I don't know, man. I still like comic book movies. I don't think I'm just tired of seeing superhero stuff. Like, I'm really not.
I think I'm just tired of Marvel.
I'm just tired of, like, this brand of movies that, like, if it felt like, and this is so stupid because well, anyways, I'm just gonna say this analogy. It's like the straightest guy you've like ever known hitting on a lesbian, and he just does not get it. That's how I felt watching this. It's just like I'm getting zero of anything out of this. I'm not even getting mad. It's just like is this really what people want and find attractive? Is just like that's all Wolverine is to you? Is just like that costume? Because like the way they set it up in the movie, it's like I don't actually know this guy. I like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine from those original X-Men movies because of his like journey. Like I don't like him just because he like, you know, is Wolverine in a costume. And that's all he is in this movie. He's just a guy in a yellow suit with claws, and like brings nothing that I liked from that original character. And you know, I'm glad they like at the very least I liked the, you know, the whole Logan joke where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna like deface his grave, and that's the because we wrote ourselves into a corner. Of course, we didn't see this movie coming. Yeah. So like that conclusion, like can't happen with that Wolverine. You know. Yeah. With this Deadpool, like that was never gonna happen. So I might as well just like we're gonna make this movie anyway. So we're just gonna like acknowledge the fact that it's like disrespectful to do anything with him after this. Yeah. But the movie itself is just I'm gonna play a sound effect, and this was my experience watching it. Pretty much right after the opening scene, I was like, I absolutely nothing. I didn't care about any of like, isn't it funny that we dug up these actors for, you know, from these really bad and lesser known Marvel movies for this? It's like, no, it's expected at this point. None of this is like surprising. I don't get a rise from any of this, and like, you know, this is coming from someone who enjoyed No Way Home, you know, Spider-Man, because they did something interesting with those characters, and more importantly, they were those characters. You know, this is a completely different Logan in the context of this movie, but like it was fun to see like how they would interact with each other, how all these different Spider-Men at, you know, those specific points in their life inform this newest version, and how that like changes him. There's like something to work off of, even though that movie isn't like amazing. I get the criticisms towards it, and like, you know, it is more just like enjoyable than like, you know, like great. It's just like it's just like fine. But like for that kind of movie, it was taking that what if this happened, you know, kind of idea, and like actually expanding on it in an interesting way. It's like, oh, this is like, I would like to see these interactions with these specific people. And you know, on paper I would like to see like the original Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. If this movie had come out like in between that, like I would have maybe been more on board. Like if this was just like a one-off adventure, like in between, you know, his death, really, like that would have just been like fine. But like the movie itself is just like, it's so safe and so boring, and like when, you know, all of Deadpool's like different versions come in, and like there's that huge like, you know, just, oh my god, I cringed so hard when like Blake Lively's like came in and was just like double Uzi time, baby. Like that seems like a taste of like what that Borderlands movie was. It's just like the lamest. Like I was so like oh my god, like this is just what gets people off, you know. People, this is what people want.
And they all just come in.
There's no it doesn't, like, you obviously don't know any of them, and the joke is just supposed to be like, isn't that crazy that there's a zombie floating head Deadpool? Isn't that crazy that there's a cowboy Deadpool? And maybe they're like cameos as the voice actors.
It's almost like Rick and Morty,
but it's
where
like
that one. It's like that one gag from Rick and Morty where they initially go. I don't know if you've seen.
Yeah.
Where they go to the Citadel and they're like, oh look, there's a cowboy Rick and Morty. Oh, there's a fish Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
It's like that joke, but like expanded into like 5 or 6 minutes. Like kind of couple second joke, but like expanded into like 5-6 minutes.
And even like the way they use them for that big action scene, it's like, what do you think? I'm stupid that I okay. They open it with like the nice Deadpool like dying, and he's
nice
like, oh, I'm like the only one that doesn't heal. Isn't that funny? Like, that's supposed to mean anything when they fight the rest of them, and it's like, I know they all healed. You guys aren't accomplishing literally anything. Like, I know you're not killing all of these, and more importantly, this just came out of nowhere. Like, as far as like the narrative goes, it's like I'm not saying like, oh, it's contrived, I didn't see that coming. Like, it wasn't surprising. I'm saying this came out of nowhere, as far as like this being built up, you know. So when it happens, that whole fight scene is, you know, going on. Wolverine's wearing his mask, and you're supposed to like, you know, change your pants because it's just so amazing that he's like wearing a mask with white eyes, and he doesn't have sleeves. Isn't that what we've all wanted to see?
Yeah.
Is someone without sleeves, because you read a story where he didn't have sleeves? Isn't that crazy? Like, this is what we all been waiting for.
Yeah.
And then like they all heal in the end, and they just walk away. It's like that was completely inconsequential. And it's just that Ready Player One thing of just like, it's enough for people to just see
how much
what
crap can we put on
the
screen until people start clapping?
Yeah. People just want to look at it. They just want to like, they want like their pop vinyl shelf to come to life, and that's it. That's all that movie is. And
you know,
I sound heated right now, but like,
I mean, I can't blame you, because you know what, I am the problem. I am the problem.
I'm responsible for getting a ticket anyway.
And your perspective really like opens up my, you know, my mind. You know, expands my brain. It really like, you know, makes me think. And you know, I remember us talking about it initially. I really thought about it. And I'm like, man, I am these suckers. Mm-hmm. I am these guys. So I can't argue with you, because that's what I was thinking. I was, I for once, and that's probably why I enjoyed it so much watching it. I for once just stood back and went, oh, yeah, whoa, oh, yeah, oh, he's put the mask on, awesome. And just because I'm just so, I like to think I'm not very nostalgic, or I get nostalgic blind too much, because I'm not very nostalgic for things too much. But like stuff like a couple characters like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, or a couple video games, like I really do get like that. Like, I remember watching the original X-Men on my fucking, like, little portable CD player. Well, it's this little portable, like, DVD player that we would bring on, like road trips. Mm-hmm. And, like, we had all the X-Men movies. It was, like, 2006 or 7, so, like, I think either 2 or 3 had just come out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'd watch them all. I'd watch, like, all of them. Like, because we'd drive, you know, 4 or 5 hours down to visit, you know, family. And I'd just watch them all. Just watch them all in a row, and, you know, watch that. And I saw Days of Future Past when that came out. I saw that in the theater. I saw all those other X-Men movies in the theater. I saw Logan when it came out in the theater. And did like I even got excited when they announced that he was coming back. And you know, watching the movie, I didn't even really think about what you were saying. And I remember you saying that to me. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm like, why did I give a shit? I really only cared because, oh, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. Oh yeah, that's cool. But even I can realize, like, they don't build this Wolverine at all. I mean, they could always, you know, use like, oh, I don't have any attachment to this one because he's new and he's not the one in the X-Men movies. But they could have done something with him. They could have had him had like a backstory. But the
backstory they give is just so standard.
Yeah,
and it's just
like, oh, I failed. Everyone's dead. And then the only thing we see about it is him in like an empty, foggy field next to these like, what the fuck? I don't even know what those were. Some like totems. They're like,
was he in a
trees?
cemetery thing?
No, was it? I don't even know.
I don't remember.
He's just in this void field thing. He's just like, no! And then that's all we get. Yeah. That's all we get, because you're supposed to be like, oh man, Channing Tatum, Gambit, isn't that cool? Granted, I was pretty surprised that they did that. That was like kind of the only surprise. I did get a kick out of seeing Jennifer Garner as Elektra, because it's like I just had. I'm telling you, I like had these stacks of just Marvel movies.
I mean that's
I
literally
saw all these
my
when
era of Marvel.
Yeah,
like
and so they got me with all that.
Like,
I have to admit, I'll admit that, you know,
Yeah.
they got me with that shit because I was in there being like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting excited seeing Chris Evans as like Human Torch, and being like, oh shit, and like fucking just, me and my friend going, oh my god, but like, and it's cool in the moment, and like I said, I think I talked to you like a couple of days after I saw it, so I was still on that high, but then like looking back on it, it's like, oh yeah, I guess so, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And like I didn't think about it too hard, but yeah, you know, like I am the person they are pandering to, and they pandered, and they got me. They pandered to me.
Yeah.
And I think I still enjoy the movie, but like I said, it's definitely not as much as I enjoyed it like initially, like walking out of the theater, like, oh man, because like I said, I'm just the audience they were looking for. I was the fish they were looking to bait in, and I grabbed the hook, you know, and they fucking reeled me in. But like after like all the cameos and stuff, when it gets closer to the ending, I did remember being like, okay, like we're gonna wrap this up now. Like I'm kind of getting like to that teetering point of like, okay, this is going too long, and you know, I know they're not gonna die.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to build the sense of, oh, only one of us could go in there.
It's like,
it's like, bro,
who cares?
Yeah,
like,
you can literally like atomize into like just a head and then just regrow everything. Like you've shown that you're literally invulnerable. So like, what are the stakes here? Because I know they're not just gonna kill you off because they want to use you. And I know they're not gonna kill Hugh Jackman off because they just brought him back. Like, so let's like hurry up. And then the villain is just another generic, boring, like, forgettable, who gives a shit Marvel villain. I did, and I hope they used that that scene they show with Deadpool and Thor. I did find that joke funny, and I do actually hope they use it in like, whether it's Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars. I actually hope they use that scene. That would be funny.
It's possible.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. But
honestly, like I would have, what would have been like if they wanted to be like clever, like actually, and more importantly, like if they had just like, you know, this was the director of Free Guy, like it was fucked from the beginning. Like
I didn't even know that.
It was never gonna be my thing.
I literally didn't even know that. Wow.
But like if they wanted to do something clever, like at this stage in the MCU, if they were brave, because everyone knows, like, first of all, this isn't building towards anything anymore. Certainly nothing as well thought out as the Infinity Saga did.
Yeah.
And second, everyone's pretty much lost their respect for Marvel. Like, there might be like a good one every now and then, but as far as like people getting like excited for things, like it's just gone.
Yeah.
So if you still had to keep going, like after Infinity War, why don't you just like go out with a bang and adapt Deadpool kills like the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
Because if he just like sullied, like, you know, just pulled up a magnifying glass to the most, like, how embarrassing the franchise got, and was just like, oh, this is what happened to all the characters after the events of that movie. Like, no one knew what to do, and I'm just gonna like kill like them all off out of spite because they didn't let me into the Avengers. That actually would have been funny with that setup of him wanting to be in the Avengers, and then just like if he just like got pissed and just like, oh, I'm just gonna take my revenge on like literally everyone. Like, I would. It's
almost like they're scared, especially in this one. I felt it to like push him to the like edge to be an anti-hero, which is what he really is. I mean, even like it to me. I actually did like the joke with him and Human Torch where he gets him killed, and then like fucking Hugh Jackman all the time, and it's just like, you're a fucking bastard, like you got him killed. And like I thought that was pretty funny, but then they just ruined it with like the ending where he's like, oh, actually I had this like secret security camera and he actually said all that stuff. Blah, blah, blah.
That's another
that
thing.
Is not that you just ruined the joke. That like you ruined the whole joke.
That's another thing I just hate about these Deadpool movies in particular, is that like they every single time they try something emotional, they do not give a single shit, but they really want you to think that it matters.
Yeah.
Like, it never ever matters. And I love like Nolan North's interpretation of him, because he's just closer to what I want out of the character. Like, I'm not the hugest like Deadpool fan, but when Nolan North is voice acting for him, like from the video games or the TV shows. Like he's just a crazy guy, and he always like sticks out like a sore thumb when he's next to like all these superheroes who take themselves too seriously. And I think that's what Deadpool should be. He should never like have any sort of like, oh man, like I really wanted to be in the Avengers and my girlfriend's gonna leave me because she doesn't respect me. It's like he shouldn't care about like anything. That should be the joke, is that he just like he walks into like your average superhero movie and just like he just like ruins like the seriousness of like any story he's in. And I get that sometimes happens in the comics. Like it's like, oh, he's secretly an emotional guy and he only pretends to be funny because he you know, he actually like feels dead inside. It's like, but like if you're not gonna like actually try, like like you need like a really good writer to pull that off. 'Cause, otherwise just have him be like an obnoxious like bastard, because at least it's like leaning into like what he does best, which is just like all these superhero movies take themselves too seriously, so I might as well just like lean into the contrivances and the cliches and just like flip them on their head. But like at the end of the day, all the Deadpool movies are just completely average superhero movies where they acknowledge like, isn't this lame? We're not gonna do anything interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't this funny that we're doing this again? Isn't it funny that I said what we're doing out loud instead of like
it's like they think it's all just jokes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, Deadpool just needs to make jokes 24/7 and the jokes need to be super obvious and him breaking the fourth wall all the time, opposed to like kind of what you said, more of like a deconstruction of like superheroes and like
it's just supposed
it's
to
not
be
even
like
that he has
it
to
doesn't
be,
have to be deep. It just has to be funny, and they're always so safe and lame.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, Disney joke, can't make that.
Yeah.
Oh, 20th Century Fox, what's that? Whatever the fuck. Yeah.
It was one of the
I
most
know what you mean.
vanilla R-rated movies, might I add. He's like, oh, it's like, oh my god, like there were at the very least like you know, with these R-rated superhero movies, I want to see some like really like weird stuff, and I feel like James Gunn does a good job at that. The Blade movies, like even when they're not great, they're doing something that's like, I don't see this often. That's kind of gross. It's like, but for the Deadpool movies, it's just like,
oh fuck nuggets, is that a creeper?
It's funny that I almost feel like he would have been a better pick to try to do something like that. Because I mean, have you ever seen Super?
Yeah, I love Super.
And there's a lot of stuff like
a better deconstruction of superhero movies, because it's just like, oh, I'm gonna like, you know, I'm gonna be the hero that like she needs me to be, and he just sucks at it.
Yeah, he just comes off as just like a crazy like he's fucking like insane like retard. Like it's like it's like that one where it's like someone cuts a line and like runs up behind them and like bashes their legs, and he's like, don't cut in line. And, like he thinks that's being heroic. Like I feel like that would have worked perfectly with like the skin of like Deadpool. Like he could have definitely like done a lot better job with something like that. I feel like
it really doesn't like, it shouldn't be that like hard to like make this like a little bit interesting, even if it's like middling. Like I feel like I give more credit to the Spider-Man MCU version than like some people do. Like, and of course, like I love the Raimi movies, and like these newer ones aren't as like creative like visually, or like, you know, they do have to like interconnect with the MCU, so it like kind of it can kind of muddle the stories in a way that I don't like love from Spider-Man in particular. But I still give credit where credit's due. Like they care about him as a character, and they get to the center of like who Spider-Man is, you know, supposed to be as a person. And you know, even when they try to do like, you know, the more sappy emotional stuff, it works decent with Spider-Man because he is supposed to be a more sincere hero. And with Deadpool, that just never gels well because they don't care, and they, you know, it's just not who he's supposed to be, like ever. And it just slows down the movie. And it's so that I literally never would have seen it if it wasn't for like other people in my life who wanted to see it. So I'm not surprised by how it turned out, but like that's how I felt about it. So that's my 2 cents on Deadpool.
Okay. All right.
So what's your number one worst movie
of the year? Goes to fucking Trapped. Trapped by M. Night Shyamalan.
That's surprising. I heard it was. I heard it wasn't
fucking
good, but,
dog
like,
shit. Like
worse than
my
Borderlands.
Yes. Only
Man,
because.
that's unfortunate.
Only because like. Joker just disappointed me, and I just didn't like it. Borderlands makes me want to gouge my eyes out and never see anything ever again. But like Trap genuinely makes me angry. Not only does it make me angry, but it makes me so disappointed that someone that made one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Unbreakable, just made this fucking like terrible slop.
Have you felt that way for the past like few M. Night movies?
No, because I'm smart and I skip them and I just don't watch them. Except for maybe Glass, which I also watched in the theater. Thank God I didn't watch this in the theater. I also give it the worst because it made me do something I swore I would never do because I wanted to be just a like proper, I guess, reviewer or like a want to commit to stuff. I got so fed up with this fucking movie that halfway through it I literally just like turned on the fast forward and like fast forward the last like half of the movie just because I just couldn't stand it. Like I'm committed to finishing stuff, but like I just did not want to see the rest of this fucking movie, no matter like what it was, because it's just so stupid. It's like Joker in the way that it just thinks it's so smart and clever, but it's not. It's literally just all these contrivances and all this like, oh, he just did it. He just got away with it. He just like, because he's supposed to be this like, oh, super smart. Like it's literally like if a 5-year-old watched Death Note and then like you asked it to write down what happened. Like, because it's supposed to be like, oh, this cat and mouse, oh, I'm the killer, and this super smart fucking police woman who's caught 1,500 serial killers before. Now she's gonna catch this one because he knows how it works because it's in his brain. But then he outsmarts her, but she outsmarts him. Blah, blah, blah. But it's not outsmarting anybody. It's just, well, she does this, and then I guess he does this and gets out of it, and then just like. It's all of just so many. Oh, so this happens. So he just so happens to or literally, not even just like, oh, it's a coincidence. It's literally like there's no way unless you had the powers of like God Almighty Himself that you got out of this. Like there's just so many instances where they got him and he just gets out of it for literally no reason. Like he's like a cartoon character. Like he like this is scene near like the end of the movie where he's like he kidnaps M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. Well, she's in the movie. Not his actual daughter, but like well, it's actually his actual daughter.
His actual daughter.
But she's like
not in the movie like a character.
Like a character. She's the singer. She's the singer in the movie that they go they go to the concert to see, and he kidnaps her at one point, and he's like driving down. This road, and I guess they slow down to stop, and then like, oh, her fans see her and swarm the car. So she like pulls down the windows like, oh, help me. And they're like, oh, what? And they're all surrounding the limo that they're in that he steals. And then the cops find him, and they all surround the limo. And they're like, oh, so one side is full of SWAT guys literally pointing their guns at the limo where he's sitting in the front seat, and then the other side is just all these fans, right? And then he somehow, in the span of like a minute, not only changes clothes, slips over to the other passenger side, and then just slips out of the limo without any, because they light up the limo, they like shoot it, just like, oh, fucking take him down, boys, and they just like shoot the limo, and they're like, where'd he go? And then it's like, it's showing he's like in disguise in the crowd. How did he do that? How did he do that? Is he fucking Flat Stanley? Is he Mr. Fantastic? Did he just flatten himself and like go through? Like no one saw him open the door. No one's like, hey, that guy just stepped out of the fucking limo. Who's that? Like nobody saw him. All those trained SWAT people, just nobody saw him. Nobody at all. And there's just so much of that. There's just so much of how the fuck did he do that? Is he quite lit? Is he in a video game? It's like they played Hitman. Like it's funny that I mentioned that earlier. It's like they played Hitman and like, yeah, you know, this is how people do stuff. Like he literally, there's this one part where he like he slips behind the counter to like set up this trap so he can distract somebody. So he needs to get like, what is it? He needs to get like into this back room, but like there's a security guard there, and across from the door is like this snack stand, and there's like a bunch of people like getting snacks and stuff. So he somehow slips into the back. Two, he puts these cans of oil that were next to the counter in the fryer. While not only there's like 5 or 6 employees back there, but also there's like a bunch of people at the stand. Just so he could put them in there, leave. The lady like walks by, notices it, and it like explodes in her face, like and makes a big noise. So he can go to the other side of the snack stand and steal this apron, so he can get this card, so he can go in the back. And again, just somehow nobody saw him in this busy snack stand. And it's like a stadium snack stand, so it's not like there's windows, and the counter's like hip level. Like, no one saw this 6-foot fucking like white guy in like plain clothes go behind the counter, put that in, leave, and then go all the way around and grab the fucking apron. And who's the main actor? You know, top of your head.
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett.
I think. I don't think it's Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett.
I think I only know him from
if there
The
was an opposite of World's Sexiest Man Alive, he'd probably win it. Not because he's particularly ugly. It's because he has absolutely no charisma and sucks the charisma out of any scene that he's in, because he's trying to be this charismatic, like fucking like Death Note, like fucking Kira from fucking Death Note.
Yeah.
Like this charismatic, like, oh, I'm a cool, nice, charismatic guy, but on the inside I'm a killer. But like, no, you just look like a crazy person. You just look like a fucking psycho. Because he's like, does this like wide smile, like, oh, whoa, gee willikers, man. Like, and it's just like, dude, you're just
so cartoony.
Yeah, you're just trying so hard to like be this clever, like, oh, I'm actually a killer and no one knows. And it just doesn't work because he has no charisma. He has zero charisma, and every time he smiles or tries to be like charismatic, I just go, if this guy talked to me in real life, I would literally run away. I would literally run away and like say to a cop, like, hey, you gotta watch that guy. There's something wrong with that fucking guy. And that's definitely not what they were trying to portray at all. They're trying to portray him as like this, like a serial killer, like a double life, like fucking like Ted Bundy or some shit. But he just comes off as like a fucking crazy person. And then, like I said, he just does all these like smart things that aren't smart. They're just contrived and stupid, and they just leave me think, like, who wrote this? Who wrote this down and thought, yeah, this will get him? Like,
who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
but like, what was he thinking? Was he thinking that this was smart? Like, oh, I'm so clever. Oh, well, wow. Yeah, this is how he gets out of this.
From that description, it sounds like hilarious and awesome, but like it would really bum me out if it was just like boring.
No, it's just what it is. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring because it's just not entertaining. It's not entertaining to see him get out of these situations, and it's just like,
because they're not earned.
Yeah. Not only that, you stole something from Empty Fantano. I'll steal something from YMS real quick, because I watched a video of him talking about it, and it's because he's not likable either. We have no reason to like this guy. We have no reason to root for him to get away. Like, we have no reason to give a shit. So we're just like, oh, okay, I guess he just gets away somehow randomly for no reason. Again, at least with like Kira from Death Note, like, he had some charisma or some like understanding of the way he thought. Like, nah, this guy's just like a crazy like serial killer, and like, who gives a shit? Like, who cares if he gets caught or doesn't get caught? This isn't clever. This is just stupid. And there's just so many times where I just like just look down on my head and just like, what the, like, just like scrunch my like eyebrows together with my finger. I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, this is part at the end where there's a twist, by the way.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, like it's somehow at the end it's revealed that his wife was suspicious of him, so it was like she like anonymously called the police or something, like anonymously, and was like, "Oh, I think the killer's gonna be at this concert," and it's gonna be like, and the twist is like, "Oh, his wife knew the whole time." Oh, whoa, and then. Again, I guess you're supposed to care about the wife, but she gets like 2 seconds of screen time, and then like he like just takes his shirt off. I can't remember why. I think I skipped past that part. Like he just like is shirtless in their like dining room, and he's just like, "Well, I gotta kill you now. Sorry." And then there's just like this fake tension that's just like not there. And I know I just said I skipped over it, but like I'm sure if I fucking watched it.
Oh, so you didn't
like,
you didn't just speed it up?
Well, I sped it up, but like.
But you actually like skipped
like,
ahead and fast forwarded.
Well, I fast forwarded, but it's like fast forwarding, so it's going really fast. So like half the time I don't even really.
Okay.
Like no, like I get the vague idea. And. Like, I got the vague idea that he's there because he's running away from the police. I just don't remember why he was shirtless. And I think that has more to do with just it's been like 5 months since I've seen that movie, and I don't bother remembering like super details about it. It's like he escapes, takes that girl, with the limo, and then gets caught, and then goes in the crowd, and then goes into the store, and then loses them again, and then has to take his shirt off for some reason, then goes back to his house for whatever fucking reason. And then there's this part at the end where they catch him. They catch him. Not only do they like catch him, and then in one scene he's literally shirtless on the floor, and then the next scene he has a shirt on, and I guess the SWAT guys took him up and put a shirt on him, I guess. But like then like 5 seconds later you realize why he has the shirt on, because it wouldn't make sense if he was shirtless for this next thing to happen. So he's like leaving his family, saying goodbye. He's like, "I'm sorry." He's like says goodbye to his daughter and whatever the fuck. And then like her bike is on like the lawn, right? And then he like lifts up this bike, and he just lifts it up from like, again, SWAT guys fucking everywhere, right? His family's literally right there. He has like a polo shirt that's like half button opened, and he grabs the bicycle by the seat and like the handle and like pulls it up. And then they take him in, and they put him in the back, and then like it's like watching you watch the SWAT car drive away, and then it like zooms into him in the SWAT car, and he's like sitting there with the handcuffs, and then you see in his sleeve somehow. Again, I guess he's fucking like Dio and has the world and just fucking stop time, because he somehow has like one of the little spokes from like a bicycle.
Yeah.
From like the tire of the bicycle. He has it in his sleeve, and then he fiddles with it. I think he's alone back there. I could be wrong. I think he's alone in the back too for some reason. He's like alone in the back of the SWAT car, and he like unlocks his like handcuffs. He's like, hey, and he like makes this like evil like face toward the camera, and it's just like, and then he escapes, and then it's just like, what the fuck? How did he do that?
It's literally a Hitman game. You just like press a button and it's in your pocket.
Yeah, you just have it. Like you like and like you like they see you. And then, like, they turn a corner and you change the costume, and they're like, oh, where did he go? Like, I'm surprised something like that didn't happen. Where they see him, it's like, oh, that's him. And then, like turn around, and, like, he's just in a different hat. And they're like, oh, where'd he go? Like, because that's literally, like, half the movie. Just, like, him getting out of shit he didn't deserve, and these characters I don't give a shit about. I don't care if they catch him. I don't care if he gets away. I don't care. Like, and then it's just, like, so frustratingly bad that it just makes my whole body want to like turn inside out. Like, I literally can't believe a producer or whoever the fuck let him make this movie saw this, was like, you know what, you should make this. You know what, I'm gonna give you $15 million. Like, 'cause I'm so confident in this movie. Like, either that or he must have financed it himself. There's no way someone read this and was like, oh yeah.
I think this was a bigger studio movie, because it was like, maybe he's just like pretty good with money, because for a while he was doing lower budget movies after like Last Airbender, he was like, all right, I'm gonna reel it back a little bit. No, after Earth, he was box office poison for a while.
Bro,
but like,
no way. Okay, so because you said that, and that had me actually pretty curious.
But for the last few movies, they were more like lower budget or independent, and this was his first huge one in a while. Mm-hmm. So I guess like just the modern like audiences like that, you know, kind of ironic enjoyment thing, and he has a big enough name to be recognizable. That's the only connection I can make as to why it would be like successful, or as to why he would.
And I'm surprised. Yeah, like I looked up the budget. The budget was only $30 million, and surprisingly enough, it made $82 million. So technically,
that was a success.
It was profitable.
Yeah.
So I guess they got their fucking money's worth, and I guess I'm just wrong because it made money.
Well, okay, put it in perspective. 80 million.
That is worldwide.
Yeah, that's like
the entire world.
That's not the whole that's not the biggest hit of the summer. It's just like enough people saw it on that.
People
budget.
got suckered in by Shyamalan. Like, oh, Shyamalan, okay. Enough people got suckered in to go see this movie. Thank God I fucking watched this for free on the internet. But yeah, even out of those other two movies, like I was it was frustrating. I've never looked down and rubbed my eyes, and even Joker, I was pretty attentive and was just waiting for it to be over. This I was just rubbing my head. This hurt to watch. This hurt me mentally. I was brain cells were literally falling out of my ears as I was watching this shit. I'm literally a worse person, a dumber person, and an angrier person after watching this movie. And it's just completely insufferable. Literally takes all the aspects of those, and this is why I put it over them. It just takes all the aspects I didn't like about either of the last two movies I just talked about, and then does all of it into this one. Stupid writing, contrived bullshit, and thinking it's way smarter than it really is. And like I said, it made me do something that I thought I would never do. Because I don't really like doing that. I don't like fast forwarding through stuff because I think I need to watch it to actually see every scene.
Yeah.
But this, I knew I could probably watch a clip from this movie and be like, okay, I don't need to ever watch this movie ever for the rest of my life until I die. Pretty terrible dog shit. One of the genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And as you could probably tell, genuinely get angry, thinking or talking about it. So that is why this shitty fucking movie is my least favorite thing I've seen all year, and maybe my least favorite thing I've seen all decade, probably.
That's I guess it's only 4 years.
Yeah, it's only 4 years, so we'll see what the other 6 can see if we can make up for it. But if we're still doing this in 6 years, clip back to this and see if I still feel the same way.
Well, looking at the time we've been talking for the span of Dune Part 2, so I have an idea. Next episode, we'll talk about the recommendation that was supposed to be this episode. Yeah. For the first half or so. It might not even take that long, but I feel like this episode is so dedicated to just 2024 for 3 hours to the point where it's we might as well just put that in the. We might as well focus more on extras in the next episode. Yeah. And instead, you can still recommend your next movie, and we'll have a longer episode's worth to talk about.
I've been debating on what I should do, and I think one genre, not only that I know you are not particularly familiar with, but something we haven't talked about yet, is anime. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. This used to be one of my favorite movies when I was in high school. I'm curious to see what I think about it now. I don't think I've seen this movie since I was 19. That was a while ago. It's called A Silent Voice. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I haven't seen it, no.
It's an anime movie about this guy who bullies this deaf girl when they were in elementary school. And then he reunites with her about 10, 11 years later, trying to basically make up for how he treated her. And this was a very close movie to me very personal. I related to a lot of the stuff. But again, I haven't seen this since I was like 19, so I don't know if my opinion has changed or if I might view it in a different light now. Seeing it as an adult opposed to like a teen, because there's a lot of teenager shit in there, like teenage angst stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I remember, I think the message that it has to say is still pretty universal. So yeah, I'm curious to see what I think about it now, being an adult, opposed to how I thought of it as like a teenager. So yeah, it's Silent Voice from I think 2016.
Okay.
I think that's what it's from. You can watch the dub. I remember that being pretty good. But you can also watch it subbed. I don't think it matters too much.
All right, and I guess that'll wrap it up for this episode. So always remember, new norm ain't the same as the old norm.
It is not. It is not. These movies, you suck. Boo. Alright, that's it from us. See ya.